Welcome to the Pro-Black Perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions. Your host tonight is the author of the Pro-Black Compendium and Zuberi and the Maroons of Ma'at, the Pan-African Nationalist, Oni. Oni, what are we discussing tonight?
Okay, so of course the highlights are gonna be the American senator, gives a mediocre twerk. You understand? Mediocre twerk, and revolution abroad. Are the neverlutionaries asleep? Let's see what the chat's saying. We got Learning Curve here telling us greetings, fam. Appreciate Learning Curve for that. Also got Kofi saying greetings. And that's the first two people, so that's great. What we're gonna do right now, before we even get started, we're gonna just be realistic and tell y'all that we're part of the KWAZ radio network, and it recently grew, but I don't have the what do you call the 15 seconds for them or whatever. So you're just gonna have to check this one out, and just pay attention to the network, all right?
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Greetings, everyone. This is Koku from the Bitter Medicine Podcast, inviting you to tune in to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the revolutionary matron on KWAZ Radio. You are listening to the Pro-Black Perspective on KWAZ Radio.
All right. So if y'all didn't check it out, last night, I had two different podcasts, so they were pretty cool. One of them was on Carlos Cooks. Another one was on Why I Don't Debate White Folk. So you check those out. They're pretty informative. They're pretty cool. Plus, I had my little muscle shirt on. So for the ladies that are interested in a brother with his arms out, which is all of y'all, right? Check it out. Bookman's here. She says greetings. So check out all the platforms, in the chat. Tikum Nijwa, or Jiwa, actually, right? Tikum Jiwa, well, you tell me how it is. It says peace to the fam, so peace, Tikum. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to get right into it. First and foremost, let's see if there are allies. Nope, no more allies. So we're going to go into the BANs. Before we go into the BANs, we have to play a transition.
I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of gum. Yeah, so for context, that woman killed his brother in his house, okay? In the brother's house. She kills the brother in his house. And then at her court sentencing, he sees his brother's killer and says, and cries and says, "Can I give her a hug?" And the judge, who's a black woman, also gives the same lady, the same killer of a brother, not her brother, but a brother. She gives him a hug. So yeah. This is the BAN section. These are now. Also, I might have to I realized shout out to Brother Bakari. He was pointing out how black folk talk, and he was usually I think he said either we usually end our words with vowel sounds. We don't really, or separately he might have said that, or more specifically he pointed out that we don't really, when we say words, we don't really use the ER at the end, So we don't say, when we say brother, right? We might say brother, right? Maybe we might say brother, but we don't really go brother, or sister, maybe sister, so on and so forth. And it dawned on me, right, that when we say the N word, right? cause here's the thing, like, cause even like Jamaica, right? When they talk about water, water, whatever, they be like water, you know what I'm saying? Or when we talk about soldier, they be like soldier, soldier, right? So it's like, it might be one of those, relics of our, African heritage. But here's the thing, with the N-word, when we say that we're saying, Nigga, like, it's because we don't pronounce the ER at the end, we're actually saying Nigger, and that, like, is that much more significant. So shout out to Brother Bakari for that, pointing out. And also Brother Bakari, he's on the KWAZ Radio Network, so check him out, as well as Forecast, and Tanzan's here too, so check that out. But anyway, so yeah, so I might have to watch my mouth when I'm saying BAN, but we're gonna go into BAN, and honestly, this BAN thing is more so a follow-up on that stampede and the human rights response, right? So last week we were talking about, everybody's talking about it, the incident in I think it was Morocco or Spain or one of them, right? And how 2,000 people were rushing, and some of them allegedly were trampled by the stampede, but for the most part their dead bodies were treated pretty ill, as many of them snuck into or forced themselves into a country that had a border, and we kind of like look back at it, and we say to ourselves, what a tragedy, how terrible Morocco is, how terrible those Arabs are, or whatever, right? Or Berbers, or whatever you want to call them, right? And I mean, I get that perspective, but I want us to also broaden, one of the things that we don't do, or one of the things we do, right, is that we don't understand, like, we don't, I don't want to say understand, I want to say we don't divorce the real from the ideal. There is an ideal world and there's a real world, and we live in the real world, and so what I would say about the real world is that at the real world, you are at the mercy of other people. You're at the mercy of the crowd. You're at the mercy of the animal kingdom. You're at the mercy of others, in short. So I really wanted to, I kind of want to write that down somewhere and like add it into like a future text, but so I was supposed to do that before I got online, but let's just see if I can remember this. I'm gonna put an asterisk just in case. So we're gonna say very simply, and this is kind of scholarly, right? But there is a real world and an ideal world. Okay, you live in the real world. In the real world, and in the real world, and in the real world, you are at the mercy of others. I want us to really process what this means, okay? So we're going to look at this video of an individual, because we have to like highlight black people, right? But we're going to watch this video of what it's like to be on the side of a stampede. I'm not caping for the Moroccans. I'm not caping, obviously, mistreating black folk is a terrible thing. Obviously, those are your enemies or what have you. But we also have to understand that in the real world, when 2,000 people are charging you, you're at their mercy. And the only question is, are you going to equip yourself to be at their mercy, or are you going to equip yourself so that they are at your mercy? And the question is, are you going to give them any mercy? You know what I mean? And I think this is a really fundamental distinction for us as a people, because it tells you what you need to do in life, what you need to associate with in life, and it tells you kind of why you're in the West, because you like their mercy model. You find the West merciful. It tells you like their mercy model. And that should also, or if you're in the West, that is, right? But that should also communicate to you how other people are operating on this planet. A lot of what you're going to pick up in this world is that you like the mercy model. And this kind of inspires me because of like recently I was ordering a package, and I was talking crap yesterday. Y'all know I was talking crap yesterday. I was like, yeah, man, realistically, so make sure you check out the Carlos Cooks and the other podcast from yesterday. But I was like, yeah, if somebody wants to take something from you, they could just take it. That's it, period. And sure enough, when I ordered this package, I never saw it. Like one of my neighbors, I don't know, maybe some stranger was, there's something I want, and just took it. You know what I mean? And that's the real world. In the ideal world, I could leave my package outside. Ain't nothing gonna happen. I could, go do my multiple podcasts, go outside, go run around. Who cares? Package out there. Nobody's gonna touch it. In the real world, you understand? So, again, you're at the mercy of other people. And so, let me see what the chat is like, because I know people don't want to hear me sticking up for no other group, and that's fine. I don't want to hear me sticking up for no other group either. But it is what it is. Lero's here. Lero, did you see the gun show yesterday, Lero? Shit. I'm like wondering why Lero stayed talking about all these mediocre men she fawning over, and then here, you got this manly, scholar, and she don't say a word. All right, anyway, look at it, y'all. This is mercy of the crowd, okay? And so we only put this up because they're black folk, but later on we're going to go into Sri Lanka, because that's a really important story in terms of, what we do versus what other people are doing. Oh, just to give you guys context, allegedly this is, by the way, how's my sound? But allegedly, actually, I actually have a thing that can tell you how my sound is. Allegedly, this whole argument over here, whatever this video is because the store, Bell Fries, I suppose, was going to charge them $1.50 for sauce or something like that, So instead of paying for the $1.50 for the sauce, the additional sauce or whatever, this is what they do. And I said allegedly, I don't know the story. I don't know these people. I don't know this event. I don't know this venue. This is just what people are discussing. Okay, so yeah, why this is important, right? So again, this is not 2,000 people, and I'm not necessarily going to cape for, like I said. Okay, so this is libs of TikTok, so they're not like a reliable source, but they're also not necessarily like super unreliable. So it says this happened July 3rd in Manhattan. 3 women seen in the video wrecking the store were upset the extra sauce cost an additional $1.75. One employee ended up in the hospital with head injuries. all 3 women were arrested, right? Now, obviously, of course, this is like a hate black people site, where it's like, why do they always start twerking, And, store owner needs to keep a couple of wasp spray under the counter. Very easy to direct and trust it. Works better than mace. Now, the thing is this, that realistically, when you're confronted with a mob of this size, if you're one person, you're at their mercy. And if you act out, if you act wrong, for instance, let's say when the woman was most vulnerable, like, I don't know if you guys peeped in the background, one of these dudes had like maybe not a golf club, but something similar to a golf club, right? If he were to react to this woman in front of him, vulnerable in front of him, they would have clubbed him to death. You understand? And so, this is what the real world is like. In the ideal world, you tell somebody, hey, look, this is going to cost you $1.75. Do you want it or not? No, I don't want it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Right? And, it could be a group of, 50 people and they say, no, I don't want it. But in the real world, you have 50 people and they say, look, I could trash your whole store and walk out. And obviously the story ends with, oh, well, the police arrested the 3 women in the video, right? That's fine. But what about where video cameras like this don't exist? What about where police do not respond to crimes? What about there? And you're kind of confronted with, the reality of the human circumstance, which is that we are, generally speaking, at the mercy of our neighbors. I'm gonna say that because I lost my package. But it is what it is. Maybe they didn't like my podcast yesterday, but you guys probably most likely will. Anyway, so look, the Haitian motto was, oh yeah. So I was trying to find this quote in what's this book called? Black Jacobins. I couldn't find it. I was looking for it. I remember a long time ago when I read it, maybe like 15 years ago. Okay, long time ago, right? I remember one person was saying, I think it was either somebody saying for the wretched, like maybe Toussaint was like for the wretched, for the poor and whatever, and then Dessalines was like no, for the blacks, or something like that, right? But I don't remember what it was because it could have been something different too. It could have been, for freedom or for, whatever and what have you. But somebody was emphasizing that it's the wretched that you have to liberate, the wretched. And it reminded me of the conversation I was talking about last week, where I was like, who are the losers, and are we like, who are the losers of society? And do we feel like losers enough in our society, to even revolt, because but I would say I wanted to give you guys a quote from Black Jacobins because I feel like it's not even the loser analysis is nice and it's, it communicates to us pretty well. But there's also this idea of who are the wretched. And the thing about, society, because right now I'm like in America, right? The thing about the quote unquote losers in America or the wretched in America and why they're not necessarily revolting or revolutionary per se, and why they're mostly neverlutionary, right? But the reason being is that they don't necessarily feel wretched. There's this video that, the Tariq Nasheed character put up because it's sensational and it gets you going, it gets you hype or whatever, right? It gets you hating on immigrants. But it's this a Haitian woman describing that, she doesn't want to mess with no Americans because they don't have culture. And, I think she more so means they don't have culture in the sense of they don't behave right. But they, the Americans, grab onto that opportunity to say, oh, we don't have a culture and blah, blah, blah. Later on, though, somewhere in the discussion, the Americans point out how much better off their country is than Haiti. Like, how much better off the black circumstance in America is than the black circumstance in Haiti, right? And what it tells you, though, is that when America gives you that impression, and it's not necessarily just an impression per se, because most of us are, not most of us, but like the propaganda machine is geared toward us believing that. And you could hear some Haitians say the same thing. But what that does is that it now makes it so that you don't feel as wretched. You don't feel like the wretched. And so your revolutionary spirit in that sense, in this sense of, hey, we built this and this is the greatest country on the planet and we're living pretty damn good, right? It takes away your revolutionary motive. Okay? And I say this all to preface what happened, what is really important. So this is the next term says that all the revolutionary talk and they just do it. So what happens is that, you could go into the American, the Black American dialogue, right? And you will find a lot of revolutionary talk, like going back at least 60 years, right? You're talking about Malcolm X, posing with that gun. You're talking about Negroes with guns. You're talking about whatever. A lot of imagery, a lot of iconography to the point where you would think these people have led a revolution at some point when they hadn't, right? Let's just be honest, right? However, now you go to the real reason why you tell the story, and that's the Sri Lankans, right? So I was thinking, I had to relate to this. I said, look, we got to pay attention to the world. When you don't pay attention to the world hates you, So what was the context for me pointing this one out? I said, let me see. Do I have the next one? No. Okay. So I don't have my comment here. But my comment to this was, hey, look, you guys remember when you weren't paying attention to Iran and China when they had COVID, and I was kind of like one of the few people who were like, oh shit, what's going on? Why is there a virus going around in Iran? And then later on, America has this, quote unquote COVID. Here's what happens in Sri Lanka, right? So it says army and fuel stations in Sri Lanka after the government decision to ban the sale of petrol and diesel to non-essential vehicles. So you see, this is a large crowd. So you have to arm yourself, right? If you are the people in power, you have to have force to counter force. Because you saw in the last video, the person behind the counter did not have force to counter force. Okay? He did not have force to counter force, and because he didn't, he was at their mercy. They could throw stuff at him. They caused him head injuries. They could have killed him. Right? And I mean, I don't care. I'm pretty sure he wasn't black, so I don't really care. But it's important in regards to, what this human experience is about, right? So you have these people who are irate because they can't get fuel for their cars. And if anybody paid attention to the story, you know what happens next. Nice, peaceful demonstration. We all like these protests, right? But they're like, look, it doesn't matter how much you guys have because we are armed, right? And I mean, some people are already chuckling. Let me see what the comments are like. Lero says, I'm going to peep, I promise. Miss me with the mediocre, man. Man, all I'm doing is fat. Anyway, go. Are they fat or tatted up or looking like they, hobos as motherfuckers, Yeah, okay. Lero like the homosexuals, you know what I'm saying? All right, Kofi says LOL. But anyway, we can go to the next one. Damn freaking homosexuals. And then, all right, so we're going to go to the next one. And we're just going to rush through because this is not African people per se. And shit, what the fuck? Okay, we're going to rush really quickly. So this was something, I don't know what it was. I hate that shit about that. But I think it might have been like the video of, like I probably have like a couple of these videos because what happens next is like pretty well known at this point. So Sri Lanka has officially declared that it's bankrupt. Civil servants have been instructed to stay home because the country has no fuel left. The next shipment of fuel is expected on 22nd of July. Schools are closed. Inflation is nearing 60%, right? I see the comments on this tweet mentioning Nigeria, this and that. When the government asked us to patronize homemade goods and services, we still preferred the foreign rice, shoes, bags, and even toothbrush made in Nigeria, so on and so forth. Does Sri Lanka have the kind of resources Nigeria have? Are they oil-producing states? Okay, so I don't know who this. I guess this person is probably a Nigerian, and he's commenting on the Sri Lankan thing. And everybody's like, "What is it got to do with Sri Lanka? What is it got to do with Nigeria?" I know some people in the comments eventually is going to be like, "What's this got to do with African people?" Right? But it's important in terms of the mob and what the mob can do. So this is more than 2,000 people. What they do then, protesters storm the presidential palace in Sri Lanka's capital. This is partly why people are using force against you. Because the reality is this. In fact, I think I heard elsewhere that this mob does eventually kill like 200 elites or something. I don't know. I didn't really see any stories about that. But this mob or throughout Sri Lanka, a lot of the leadership does get killed. Or with regard to the president, they run the fuck out. Okay? So you get more. You say Sri Lanka protesters swimming at the presidential palace. And I mean, we all like this, right? Kind of, right? I mean, obviously, most of us don't really care per se. But you have to see it now from the perspective of the people in charge, the people and so on and so forth. Because here's the thing, is that, everybody goes into the pool all at once and takes turn going to the pool. And that's fine to an extent. But then what happens after, right? So this white liberal says, this image right here, that image right there has been the recurring nightmare of every king, emperor, oligarch, and tyrant throughout history. Our entire civilization has been structured around keeping us from noticing how easy it is. And that's really, in a sense, what she's saying has merit. It is easy. And there's a force constantly in play to stop this. Because if you don't stop this, like I said, some people are going to be killed. Or you, if you're living in this freaking place, you're going to lose your house. And the question becomes, well, what happens afterward? Does fuel, if the fuel runs out, does that now become accessible to everybody? So here's actually pretty interesting. So Ghost of Akello, I like this brother, by the way, but Pedro says the uprising touched off reprisals against Arab heritage and South Asian Indian residents. An estimated 17,000 people were killed and thousands of refugees fled to Oman and other nations. So this is again, so this is talking about Zanzibar. So today, the 12th of January in 1964, African laborers from Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, with retired police officers led by Field Marshal John Okello, started the bloody revolution in Unguja, Zanzibar archipelago, and overthrew the over 100-year-old brutal Arab regime. So, good brothers, obviously. Good brothers come through. They're being ruled in Zanzibar by these Arabs. And I guess he gives a whole description. Women whose husbands have been killed or detained were not to be raped, including virgins. Yeah, so I mean, I didn't get to read this, but you guys can check it out. You see the link in the description if you want. But then he says, look, 17,000 might be an overestimation. I reckon maybe 10,000. This is the video. The killing of Arab citizens. You understand? So, 10,000 Arabs, and I don't mind. 10,000 brutal Arabs, I don't care. But if I were Arab, I would. You understand? If I were Arab, I would. In the context of 2,000 people rushing your country, and you understand, hey, look, these people have every motive. Like I don't want to be at the mercy of another human group. And that's the thing that a lot of African people do not process about what kind of makes us different from other people is that we don't mind being at the mercy of another group. We don't. So this guy gets another image of it's around 5:30 a.m. in New York. I wish more people were up right now. This is the look for the presidential palace. And you might say, okay, this is how it should be. Take over your government, take over so on and so forth. But what happens afterward is the question. It's like this one brother, the brother, actually, where I got Pan-Africanism and neverlutionary from is this brother called Adu Rafo, good brother. right? You guys should check him out. Like him and Ptah Htp are like my two favorite scholars in America, right? But Adirafo, he would say, you know, you got to have revolution and resolution, you know? So what, so the revolution is what happens, you know, it's how you get into power, but resolution is what you do when you have the power, right? And the question is that if this is not a coordinated effort, right, somebody has to be in charge. And if not, if nobody's in charge, that's fine. But what does that mean moving into the future, as to say, what does that mean when you want gas prices, this, so on and so forth? How do you coordinate that? You know? Right now, people are just taking turns in the fitness gym or in the swimming pool or watching television. And that's fine. But then you say to yourself, well, who here should be sitting in the big room? And that's a question that we don't. Well, honestly, when I say we, you know, I already know that we're not even like if we're talking about the West or the Western experience for African people, we already know that we're not even even on the stage of taking over the palace. So it's not even a question. But I really wanted to just discuss that. I really just wanted to discuss that. I obviously the context was, that massacre that we all saw last week, and obviously this video of them rushing a store. But it's when we're talking about nation building and we're talking about, well, in the real world, or the ideal world, you don't want to control people with force, right? But in the real world, human groups, human masses can amalgamate in such a way that they can have force over you. I remember my brother, he's a really skilled martial artist, right? And I think I told him some story about some guy was fighting. He got into a fight with 5 people, and he talked about how he gave a strategy of how to win a fight against 5 people. And my brother heard it, and he's a martial artist. He's a really skilled, combat, fighter, really skilled, right? Like medals and shit, right? He's like, nah, 5 people want to fight you. If 5 people want to fight you, you will die. You're at their mercy. You know what I mean? And, I'm just like in disbelief because this guy, he brags about how good he is, but it's just a matter of just realistically. So 5 people, 5 men, and of course it has to be reasonably sized men, right? But 5 men come at you and you're at their mercy. And I'm part of the reason why I could make sense of this, and I mean, some people even go as far as to say, if you have 2 skilled people coming at you, you're at their mercy. But 5 is a good number, right? Either way, one of the reasons is that your attention, like in a fight, in a 1-on-1 fight, right? Your attention to the other person's body has to be absolute, because if you blink at the wrong moment, right? And of course you're gonna blink, but if you blink at the wrong moment, right, or you look away at the wrong moment, they will take advantage of that, your delayed processing, and that's your ass, right? Now the thing is that means you have to focus on one person. Maybe you can focus on 2 people, but you can't necessarily focus on 2 people if one of them's behind you, right? And then when it's 5 people, forget it. Your attention span is very, very, very limited. Obviously you can position all of them in front of you, but generally speaking, the idea is to run, because the moment that they position themselves out of your field of view or in contrary directions, you will that's your ass. So yeah, this whole thing is that like we saw last week, and if for those of you who don't remember last week, just check out or look up the whole Tunisian thing or whatever. Everybody's talking about it still. Moroccan thing. Look up that, and then you'll think. Actually, we're gonna see a video of some other people like that, but it is what it is. Hopefully you guys like that conversation. Oh yeah, let me see what the comments are. Bobby Wright says greetings, everyone. Bit of Medicine says greetings to Bobby. Bookman says we don't mind being at the mercy of another group because we generally don't trust the administrative skills of our own people. This can only change with experiencing competent governance. Yup. Lero says, even at my job recently, most of my coworkers and upper management are black, and some were saying the company was ran better by white people. Some. Lero, just speak with your chest. You know what I'm saying? I'm just messing Lero. Lero's gonna be like, fuck you. All right. The learning curve says, we think the others will be fair with us. Shaking my head. We are looking to them to solve our problems. Dang, everybody agree with that. Okay. Learning curve says, as independent as we are, we still like regimented action. They write down rules and follow them. It's just business no matter what. We judge each situation. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. All right. So you guys have the experience of knowing that we don't like our own experience. And that's the issue, because see, what other people, when we see other people fighting us over, rushing into their country, or they're fighting us over, why are you doing it? Like, they're always on our ass, right? We kind of say, we like being at their mercy. We like being at their mercy, but they would never want to be at our mercy. And I mean, then like you saw with the Tanzanian video that Gus Vakela put up, the reality is that things can turn one way, and then you're killing all of them. And I mean, that's the real experience of human beings, where you say to yourself, well, look, if this person's not useful to me, right? And I don't like the history that we have between us, I'm killing all of them. And it reminds me of the quote unquote, the American fear, the white American fear, where the white American is convinced that African Americans will revolt and then kill them over slavery. Now, we are looking around at African Americans and saying, I don't see that shit. But white folk are not going to give us an opportunity to prove that we are not going to do that. They're not, because I'll be stupid. Because the reality is this, that it just takes a handful of us to do it. Even if 99% of us don't want to do it, it just takes a handful. Because you see, with regard to that video where the women are trashing that store, just 3 women trashing the store. And maybe just 5 guys in that group would have stood up for them. But if you're confronted with that group, you don't know any of this shit. Could be 20 of them have are like, hey, let's leave or something. It doesn't matter. And that's the thing. It's the same with regard to white folk. A lot of white folk are not going to participate in beating your ass, but a lot of them will stand by, and a lot of them will defend a white person when it comes to that. And we were talking about that yesterday in the Shoot the Breeze, where we were discussing the Emmett Till case. A lot of white folk probably weren't going to. A lot of white folk, why wouldn't themselves stand up and kill Emmett Till? But when it came to trial, they sat on the jury, right? They sat on the jury and they said, not guilty. All the evidence pointed to them going to this boy's house, taking him, beating him, killing him. They said, not guilty. And that's it. Not to say that they would personally have done it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's the reality of the human circumstance, the reality of the crowd. The reality, and this is why, a lot of what nation building is about, a lot of what nation building is about is understanding that you have to get into these positions of power, get into these positions of force, because it only takes a handful of people to ruin all your shit. When going back to that Zanzibar example, I didn't even read it before the first time, but now that I just read it, it's like, some Pan-Africanists came together, went to the city, and these Arabs were taken unaware. And then their 100 years were ruined by people from Uganda, Kenya, so on and so forth. Pan-Africanists came together and said, look, we're going to mess up your shit. And they had no way to know, because they probably felt like their population was dominated, controlled. First time I saw this documentary in college, Basil Davidson was interviewing people from Zanzibar, and they were like, dark skin, well melanated, well melanated. Talking about, I'm Arab. I'm an Arab. You know what I'm saying? And Basil Davidson is a white boy, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? You ain't no Arab. You clearly, but the people in Zanzibar might have thought, we had a 100-year rule. We fucking their daughters. Because they like part of the reason why the revolution was happening is because they were like raping kids and shit, right? So he's like, we fucking their daughters. We doing this for 100 years. We messing them up. They think they Arabs, all that kind of stuff. We good here. We could be in power for another 200, 300 years. And then all of a sudden, outside of nowhere, Pan-Africanists roll up, and they kill all of them, and they send them to. So it's like when you question, well, why does America try to break African Americans from Africa? Well, that's why. Cause if you about it, and this is one of the things I want to probably go on from this, but I remember when I was reading Frederick Douglass' autobiography, and he was talking about how on the plantation, white boy was good. He was good, but what he hated was, one, free black folk walking around, and two, abolitionist black folk walking around, giving the enslaved Africans ideas. But otherwise, he was pretty good with the enslaved Africans. I mean, it's the same with the Caribbean coming to America. Not trying to big up the Caribbeans, but there was, if you read Marcus Garvey's autobiography, there was some talk among white Americans about how the Caribbeans, they move around. They sometimes, kind of low key, kind of revolutionary kind of stuff, and all that kind of stuff, But like, this is what they were saying. This is what the white man was saying. But it goes back to this whole mentality of, sometimes when you're in power and you're in control, people, and it's just like the same with the Northerners going to the South. That was another one that I really liked when I was, because I identified as a Northerner back in the day, right? But like when the Northerners went south, a lot of times the white folk would be like, everything was good until you guys showed up. Oh, you guys are coming here to rock the boat. Oh, we got to chase these Northerners out. Because the Northerners would sit up inside the, typically a Southerner would see, all white counter and, or all white fountain and be like, well, I ain't messing with that shit. Right? And then a Northerner, like, I think Brother Bakari come from a legacy. Brother Bakari's here. He said, what's up? He come from a legacy of Northerners, I think. Or maybe he's Southerners. I don't know. But he come from a legacy of fighters. Like real talk. So it's his people that these white boys didn't like. There's a lot of other black folk, who this white boy did like. He's like, hey man, these are docile Negroes. But then there's other ones who were fighting, revolutionary, all that kind of stuff. That's Brother Bakari stock right there. So shout out to Brother Bakari for that, But anyway, Alma Bookman says, if you are a Nigerian doctor and you didn't get paid this month and you see the government administrators running around in luxury, it's hard to value black governance. Yep, that's true. That's true. So anyway, we're going to go to the next section. What is this going to be? So this is going to be, looks like it's going to be the ABA. So let's check out what the ABA are doing. Oh yeah, this is my transition. I can't make you love me if you don't. You can't make your heart feel something it won't. Wait, no, don't call me. Don't call me an African. What? I'm a Moor. I'm an American Indian. I'm an Indian. Shit, you call me slave. You don't call me no damn African. No, I'm anything but an African. Okay, so let me see. Did I switch screens? Oh no, I didn't switch screens. So let's see. Yeah. So this is the ABA. Unfortunately, I can't play this audio. But I'll give you guys a description. Sometimes some of these audio are like copywritten, and they really do like pull your shit from the internet for some reason. So I can't play the audio, but I'm gonna show you guys the audio, and you can say what you want. Basically, this is a Jamaican woman. She's kind of yellow. I'm not gonna hold y'all. And then the other guy is this guy named Charleston White, and he's like a lot of quote unquote black Americans like this guy, right? And I mean, for some reason, I think what happens is that he says he was doing some dumb shit when he was a youth, then he went to prison, and after he came out of, and apparently like, I don't know, I think somehow he got out of prison early, like maybe some judge, some lawyer helped him out, I don't know. And then he allegedly gives his life towards helping black youth in the community from repeating his mistake and, you know, giving positive programs and all that kind of stuff. But if you listen to him, he's like a moron, or he's like a very negative person. But, you know, you could be a moron and a negative person and, you know, obviously do some good works or goodish works, and then people will like you. So here's what happened with this guy. The lady and him are talking, and all he tells her is, hey, look, you're not black. You're not black. You're Jamaican. We are black. We black Americans are black. You guys are not black. He does, you know, and that's really it. But why I put out the ABA thing is, because first off, this guy, he's incredibly toxic. And we're going to show another video of him where he's just like going in on Haiti. And this is like a very popular black voice, you know? But the reason why I even put this out is because I told you guys, I have this African-American coworker who also told me a lot of times, hey, look, you're not black, you know, you're Jamaican, and that kind of thing. And it just reminds me of this one brother who was in my, he was in the Discord for a minute, and he was saying, you know, he doesn't like Somali people. And the reason why he doesn't like Somali people is because Somali people do not identify as black. You know, they say that they're Somali, you know, and it's the same with this whole, you know, Dominicans say, I know black, I Dominican, right? But then African Americans are telling other people, hey, you're not black. You're just not black. And so it's like, on one hand, we complain, or African Americans, I should say, right? I should say we, I guess, right? But African Americans are complaining that other people are not identifying with them, right? Or are not identifying as black, and that they're the only people that identify as black, so on and so forth. And then when other people do identify as black, they tell them, hey, don't get it twisted. You're not black, you know? And so there's this book. It's by J.A. Rogers, one of my favorite books, one of my favorite fiction books. It's called From Superman to Man, where he describes that other groups of people do identify by their nations, you know? And I think, actually, I think Anna Bookman, when she was commenting on this post, the same tweet, she pointed out that, you know, this whole diatribe was related to the guy just not having a nation, like let's not having a state, just being stateless. And when you're stateless, you say dumb shit like this. But I think it's just a really critical thing. Obviously, I can't play the audio because it is licensed and commercial content. Somehow Twitter gets away with it, but you know, YouTube will not let you get away with it. So, but I definitely want you guys to check out the video. It's really stupid. He does call the girl yellow, and she is kind of yellow when she says, all right, what color am I skin? And he's like, yellow. And she's like, oh. But anyway, I think I can play this audio, though. So this is Charleston White in another setting, kind of just dissing Haiti. And remember, this is a really popular speaker. It's not like...
Nigga, Haiti poor. Fuck I'm gonna go to Haiti for. You nigga can't even grow fruits and vegetables over there. Fuck I'm gonna go there for. Fuck I'm gonna go to Haiti for. You just can't take care of your mamas now. You bitches ain't even got standing up houses over there. Fuck, I'm gonna come to Haiti for, nigga. I got running hot water. I got a stove that work. Nigga, I don't walk through mud barefooted, bitch ass nigga. Fuck, I'm gonna come to Haiti for. All my tennis shoes white. They go get dirty over there. You ain't got no concrete for me to walk on or nothing, nigga. Fuck going to Haiti, bitch ass nigga. I'm a nigga American. I ain't no motherfucking Haitian. Fuck, I'm gonna go to Haiti for, you dick sucker. Nigga, Haiti poor. Fuck, I'm gonna go to Haiti.
Now, I want you to understand that this is not some, like this, it seems like he's just some random, like when I first saw him, I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't even know what this is, right? But what I like, I don't even know what the fuck he is. But what I could say is that this is actually a really popular person. I don't remember what platform he's on. Like, maybe it could be like a Facebook something, but he like goes on live and a lot of black people are like looking at this guy. Like, he's like a household name in the black American, maybe Facebook or Instagram, one of the things. And I only really, like, I saw a video of him, I think Mighty Lero might have shared it, I don't know, but I saw a video of him talking about how he doesn't, like how he, like I saw originally him talking about how he finesses jobs or something. And I thought that was like his whole thing, but apparently he's actually pretty popular in terms of thing. And I got that actually, Sister Mella, she's a good sister. She had, I was looking at her YouTube page, and she had an interview with this guy, and she was just pointing out, hey, he's popular, and he's getting the message across, and he's a good so on and so forth. And I part of me, like, I was listening to the interview, and I was like, this guy seems really toxic, but Mella's a good sister, so it is what it is. But maybe she just like whatever, you say that stuff to the guy's face. But yeah, he's on live a lot of times. He's talking with guys, a lot of black men, and that's what he says. And this is the kind of rhetoric that's coming out, and I really just want people to understand that and what he's saying is not necessarily like unique to him. It's not really like his individual book studies, like in the same way that like some stuff that I say sounds a little bit like, oh, that's the stuff that you've read and you've so on and so forth. This is what he's communicating is common parlance, because like I said, like I've heard this multiple times. I remember one time I brought this sister, she was from Texas, nice looking woman, but I brought her to this store and I said, yeah, I got you some black owned food, and she was like, this is not black owned, this is Caribbean, and I was just kind of like, what, I was confused, but like, yeah, and this kind of, I really like this video just for the wretched argument where he's like, hey, look, he's from, like, he's out of prison. I don't know if he like transformed his life completely, but the point is that he's like, hey, even with my particular circumstances, I'm doing better than the Haitians. I have, clean shoes, clean socks. I walk on concrete. I eat, 3 meals a day. I'm in a good circumstance, notwithstanding that I might complain about white folk, but the white man's mercy on me is tolerable, or is better than what I could find in another country, in another black country. You understand? And that's like really critical for us to understand why America has its neverlutionary problem, So that's what I wanted to say about that. Let me see what the comments are like. Let's see. So a Brother podcast deleted something. Then he says, someone on the Forecast show called Caribbean folks troublemakers. Damn, okay. Brother Bakari says, I'm going to use ABA, anything but African, but when I do my show on SVU, Special Victims Unit. So make sure you guys follow Brother Bakari and them. I don't know what's wrong with YouTube where you can't just like in the comment section, just click on somebody's profile. It's kind of sucky, but it is whatever. Brother Bakari says, that guy named Alquan. Oh yeah, Alquan says, I remember that Negro, Alquan. So Alquan was the one on the Forecast show. Learning Curve says, a lot of people are being brainwashed into statelessness. Once you are identified as stateless, you can be exterminated. Yep. Brother Bakari, Bit of Medicine says, yeah, him. Lero points out Charleston White, says, yeah, Charleston White is popular, but not everybody likes him. That man is a snitch. Some folk want his top, to be honest. He called King Yella P.O. Dude is an instigating clown. Yeah. Yeah, but he's popular. That's the thing. The trouble with popularity is that people are listening, and it's kind of like we touched on this conversation yesterday on Shoot the Breeze. So make sure you guys check out Shoot the Breeze. But Mr. Untouchable, good brother, like really good brother, right? But Mr. Untouchable was talking about when you listen to somebody eat the meat and spit out the bones, right? And then Bit of Medicine pointed out, well, how do you know what the bones are? How do you know what the meat is? And the issue is that when you listen to that video by Charleston White, the meat, the meat of it was that Haiti was shit. Now, you and I, or a lot of people listening to this, may say, spit out the bones there, or may say, okay, well, maybe Haiti needs, some people are going to say, well, maybe some people are going to say Haiti has some nice areas. In fact, I actually saw some Haitian person, I think it was the other day, and they were telling me, and they were saying that they go back to Haiti every year. And I was like, what? Because I know some Haitian people who don't want to go to Haiti at all. And they're like, well, no, you got to know where you're going, right? And so, to some Haitian people, you might be like, it might be right. Yeah, Haiti needs to fix this shit. And to other Haitian people, it's like, hey, I could find roads and shit when I go to Haiti. I could live pretty comfortably in Haiti. It is, but then the thing with Charleston White being popular is that when you eat the meat and spit out the bones, the reality is that the context I saw that video in, actually I can show y'all the context I saw that video in was it was some ADOS people. So this is the ADOS person. They're commenting on this video. This is the video I was telling y'all about, the Haitian woman saying whatever, and then these brothers, go at her. And so Tarina Sheed, you see, he's blocked. He says a couple of janky, weird Caribbean women said FBA don't have a culture. And no, remember, she didn't say they don't have a culture. She said they don't have culture, which means something different. But, it could be misinterpreted, obviously. And then said that FBA only got their freedom because of Haiti. And when pressed to elaborate, they just went into nonsensical tether babbling. Shout out to the brothers for checking them on that. And then so this was the response, like, fuck Haiti. You understand? So it's like, yeah, you could eat the meat and spit out the bones. But the meat here that was eaten or ate, or I don't know how you say it, but or the meat that some people eat is fuck Haiti. Now he might have some decent things going on, but again, like what is it that people are going to spit out when they encounter him? And that's like really like the crux of the conversation, So shout out to Bit of Meds for that too. So anyway, so this one's good luck with Civil War II. So obviously, I don't know if y'all noticed, but these white folk coming after you. While you talking about being at the mercy of another group, you're talking about 300 million, the largest white population on the planet. 300 million white people who you're going to be at the mercy of, or who you are at the mercy of right now. And when they decide when some of them decide, not all of them, obviously, when some of them decide, well, we're going to fucking take over this fucking country, right? It's going to be a good luck to you. So this is some American idiot. So this is, so Yaya, allegedly she thinks she's an American Indian. We came from the dirt, not the belly of a slave ship. Black, colored, Negro, American Indians, Afro-Americans. She's not horrible looking, she's not horrible looking. She's not bad looking. She's all right. This is the origin of the Confederate flag. I'm not throwing anything away. So now she's repping the Confederate flag. So brother Xbox the Mark, he's a good brother too. He's a good brother. He's going to elaborate on what this is for other people. Like people in the back don't know. He's a pretty good amateur historian. So nah, he's a good brother. He says, look, so this is a whole conversation chain, and we're just gonna go down it. So and I think I muted the word slave at this point because I'm just like, whatever. So in case you guys are wondering why this was muted. So it says, LOL, that's the flag of the Native American Confederate Military Regiment during the Civil War who fought on the side of the Confederacy to uphold slavery. They were also slave owners and were renowned for their tracking skills of runaway blacks, etc. Now, I feel like I should have given you guys more of a background here. Yeah, I feel like I should have given you guys more of a background here. But essentially, a lot of people were in her comments praising the Confederate flag. Okay? Let me see if I could actually show you that. Just to give you a context of like why I call these people ABA. Because sometimes I just like that Tarina Sheed story I was trying to ignore. I just kind of like I kind of just wanted to think. So it's like, yeah, knows her history too. I stop and listen when she speaks. This would explain the black man we saw at the Confederate rally. Shiloh, Black Hand, and Chimango were battles during the Civil War. I'm not throwing anything away. I ain't no African. I'm American. All right, that's so stupid. That's Mariah Carey. But anyway, is that Mariah Carey? Any primary, secondary source, peer-reviewed articles to back this up? Just curiosity. I said it before. We just need a lifetime to unearth all the lies we've been told. Thank you for this knowledge. Laugh my ass off. Are you serious? So the origin of the steroid, so some people are kind of pushing against it, but a lot of people are like, look, this flag is beautiful. Oh my gosh, Shiloh is written on it. I love it. We were the Republicans. They took that. Everything we have that's good, they take and make it about them because it's good, It's very, very interesting. I've never seen this. History is complicated and brings up a lot of feelings that I have to examine because I see what triggers me may not trigger someone else. We need to be empathetic about that. If we want, some Indian tribes present, yeah. So some people are going to be on the side of what the fuck is wrong with you. But a lot of people are on the side of I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? Right, this guy. This is the flag from where my folk are from. Chickamauga battlefield in northeast Georgia. My people's mounds are up there too, right? And so this person's like, Google is free. It's the 18th Alabama Volunteers battle flag. They have the names of their battles, right? So it's like, these are the names of their battles. Like, I'll tell you, Lookout Mountain. That's the mountain I actually hiked up there when I went to Atlanta. Yeah, I was like fucking frightened as a motherfucker, you know? But there was a lot of black folk there. They were just like, it's okay, it's a mountain. And it's like, no, this is Lookout Mountain. Like, I've heard about that. Up north, I've heard about that. But anyway, so he says, you know that war wasn't about slavery, right? What was it about? Please enlighten me. Well, the South had the richest economy at the time. They wanted to secede, selling 2/3 of the world's textiles. The North wanted to keep power, so took the slaves away to ruin their economy and win the war. And it's like, so why did the Confederacy name slavery and white supremacy as their reason for secession? So the reason why I want to read this is because this is interesting. Heck, they wrote it in their declaration. Heck, here's the vice president of the Confederacy stating point blank that it's about slavery. So this is the vice president of the American Confederacy. And he says, the new Constitution has put at rest forever all the agitating questions relating to our peculiar institutions, African slavery as it exists among us, the proper status of the Negro in our form of civilization. Now remember, this is the vice president of the Confederacy calling it African slavery. Like, he already knows who you are, right? And our form of civilization. This was the immediate cause of the late rupture and present revolution. The general opinion of the men of that day, revolutionary period, was that somehow or other, in the order of providence, the institution of slavery would be evanescent and pass away. Our new government is founded upon exactly the opposite ideas. Its foundations are laid, its cornerstone rests upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to the superior race, is his natural and normal condition. This is the president of the Confederacy, and then this guy says, well, that seems like a dumb thing to say. We can't have a people dependent on another group of people who claim superiority over them. I think it's wrong. And this is African American thinking, which is, like, no disrespect to African Americans, but this is like basically, if y'all don't know, like, Americans generally, like white and black, are generally considered particularly white Americans, like around the world, are considered very ignorant, and like, this is just kind of one of those ignorant things to say. You can't have people dependent on another group or people claim superiority over them. And it's like, the trouble is this, like, who's dependent over whom, But anyway, I think it's wrong, but I'm pretty sure something else started it. The secession and slavery was used as a wedge issue. And I mean, like, in some respects you can say that, but it's kind of hard. So the reason why I caught this caught my eyes, because he said, this guy thinks he knows more about the cause of the Civil War than Alexander Hamilton Stevens, the vice president of the Confederacy, who also wrote and announced the Confederacy's Declaration of Independence and reasons for secession, So I thought that was pretty interesting. Little tangent. Let me see what you guys are saying. So Charles and White is popular, blah, blah, blah. King Yella, who is King Yella? Kofi asks. King Yella is a rapper from Chicago. I still don't know what this even means. He called King Yella P.O. What is P.O.? Dude is an instigating clown. What is P.O.? All right, so Bobby Wright says, Stan Waite, a leader of the Cherokee Nation, was a Confederate general and major slaveholder and the last Confederate commander to surrender. Damn. Yeah. Yeah, so those are the comments. Let's see. Let's go back to this. So that's pretty interesting, I thought. Then we're gonna go to this. What is this? And I just like just sharing information sometimes. Let's see. This is the creator of the Confederate flag in his own words. So somebody decided to quote this lady and say, look, this is the creator of the Confederate flag in its own words. As a people, we are fighting to maintain the heaven-ordained supremacy of the white man over the inferior or colored race. A white flag would thus be emblematic of our cause. Upon a red field, which would stand forth our Southern Cross, gemmed, preserving in beautiful contrast the red, white, and blue, right? So he's like, look, we're like, our whole thing is about white supremacy. This is 1863. Now, I want you to realize this, or I want you to realize this. I want you to realize this. These same people who, created their flag and created this one and so forth, they kept control of their communities, their educational system, their churches, their so on and so forth after the Civil War. And that's the thing about civil wars, or the thing about wars in general, is that when you are a small population, you're never going to have the kind of reach of the locals because you're not going to be around the locals. You know, if I don't know what town this guy was in, what city this guy was in, but the reality is that this sort of mentality is going to keep breeding itself over and over. You know, it's going to be challenged by the general culture. But like, just like we all found out, well, not all of us, but some people found out recently that there's a town called White Settlement in, you know, one of these southern states. And then they were asked, do you want to change that name? Like, should we change that name? And they were like, no, we're called White Settlement. Like this is a thing, you know? We're going to keep going though. Bramona Quimby says, oh yeah, so I screen grabbed every last word of this terrifying article that's behind a paywall because everyone needs to read it. And this is, it says, like, the caption is, they are preparing for war. An expert on civil war discusses where political extremists are taking this country. So this is allegedly an expert on civil war. And I'm not going to read all this, but she's a political science professor at the University of California, the author of How Civil Wars Start and How to Stop Them, which was released in January. She says, having studied civil wars all over the world and the conditions that give rise to them, and these white boys are pretty good at starting civil wars, understand that. You argue in your book somewhat chillingly that the United States is coming dangerously close to those conditions. Can you explain that? And she says, so we actually know a lot about civil wars, how they start, how long they last, why they're so hard to resolve, how you end them. And we know a lot because since 1946, there have been over 200 major armed conflicts. And for the last 30 years, people have been collecting a lot of data, analyzing the data, looking at patterns. I've been one of those people, right? That's her credentials. And she's like, look, civil war is coming. Now, I don't know if civil war is coming, but if it is, good fucking luck. Yeah, actually, that's it. That's actually the whole fucking thing. Good fucking luck. Let's go to the next category. Yeah, because I mean, I'm not fucking joining the fight. I don't give a shit. Oh, okay. So I just looked at the comments. Apparently, Lero's saying that PO is parole officer. How did I forget that? He said he called 12 on live. Yeah, that sucks. So I know what 12 is. That's police officers. Or police, I don't know. But I'm like, I know what that is. I don't know. So why is all this sexiness? We're gonna just try to go through this. I'm getting like kind of hungry. I need to eat better, honestly. But like starving yourself is pretty good too. What the fuck? Somebody deleted this one. Ah, shit. What was it? I don't remember. Okay, I think it was something stupid. Like, yeah, it was something so stupid. I'm like not mad he deleted it, but it is whatever. I think it was something along the lines of, you know, it was the white man that, oh yeah, it's like something like, you know, nobody thought breasts were sexual until the white man came along. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, there's like ancient imagery and ancient poetry about how good black women's bodies are. Like, that's so fucking stupid. It's like, and then, you know, people were like, oh, the proof is that, you know, we used to walk around naked. Yeah, you could be naked and still sexual. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Or sexualized, or like, it's just so fucking weird. There's actually a really good poem, you know, from ancient Egypt about, how beautiful a woman is, and part of the poem is like, oh, the way your breasts drape, you know, it's pretty nice. Anyway, so what's this? This is some mangina. So mangina is really about these guys, you know, these guys who are just black men are just such victims. Anyway, so he's like, you can't publicly love black men and expect any form of career mobility in politics and academia. Rejecting the humanity of black men is essential to advancing one's career. Right? And so I just wanted to point out this. I'll probably just go by this because he's a fucking simp. But it's like rejecting, and not like a simp in a good way, like Brother Bakari. It was untouchable. Well, like a simp, like no, he's not like I don't want to say simp. I want to say he's like a beta male. You know, he's like he's like a victim mentality. It's not like the same as I want to please women. It's more like low key. It's just like I want to please men. You know, it's weird. And rejecting black humanity has been one of the most profitable models for whites in human history. They didn't stop and won't stop as long as it's still safe to do so. And it is still safe and profitable to do. You know, and I think that's what we really want to walk away from this from. You know, you can kind of see the comments, you know, look at all the black feminists upholding this for careerism. True story. And this woman was and she was like, I like this comment because I'm deeply and seriously committed to hearing black men when they speak. 2 of my closest friends, one male and one female, had a heated debate because he felt he was being muted. This may be his experience. No absolutes, you know, kind of dumb shit. And let's say it's profitable to fear and downplay, blah, 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 at times, blah, blah, blah. So it's just some stupid, you know, mangina shit. Oh, this one. This one I like. I like this one, and this is partly why like you gotta realize. Now, apparently they were saying that this guy's actually an Arab. So this lady says, nah, man, a black man getting stabbed and killed trying to defend his white woman whose EBT card declined over a bag of chips has gotta be the worst death story I've ever heard. Right? He says, I see why he's being charged a throat slash. He had the chance of getting away, but the bodega worker turned around and went to stabbing kid. Mahana, bodega worker, woman who didn't have enough money for her item, went to the car to get her boyfriend, who then came behind the counter to attack the clerk. Jose Alba, 51, cut the man up and is being charged with murder, held on $250,000 bail. So apparently he's like a Latino man. But my thing is, why are you letting an old man, like, how are you losing a fight to an old man? I guess this is just a video. You guys don't really want to see the video. I'll move on from there. But basically, it's like, I mean, I'll just show you the beginning just to show you how old the guy is. But some people don't really want to see murder. I don't mind, because I think that, like I said, in the human world, you got to deal with the real world. And the real world is that people can and will kill you. But this is the old, I guess he's Latina, they say. I thought he was Arab, but he shoves the guy down. And eventually, I think as he turns his back, as he's lumbering over the guy grabs a knife and stabs him in the neck. But like, here's the issue. Like, this guy is first off fit. Or not fit, but he's aggressive. He's, you know, he should have better hands than that. And the thing is that if you're going to fight with people, that's why I put in the mangina section. If you're going to fight with people, you should only fight for one reason. And that is to kill the other person. And if you're not fighting to kill the other person, then don't fight. You know, and I told you guys, I learned this when I was younger. You know, when I was younger, actually that same brother I was telling you guys about, you know, I was playing some, you know, video game or whatever. And we had a friend over. And I guess he decided to, like, disrespect me in front of the friend, right? You know, be like, oh, you know, get the fuck off. Like, not get the fuck off. We weren't cursing back then. But he was like, get off this game. Or, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, just like kind of push me off the game because he wanted to play or whatever. And I was like kind of in front of this kid and his friend. And like, you know, usually, you know, I guess I'm used to being a pushover at that time. But like, it's different when, you know, peer pressure, so on and so forth. So I get behind my brother and just choke him. You know, give a proper strangulation. You know, and yeah, it's over a stupid game. And at some point, he's like, that's it. Like, it's lights out. And I stop. You know, I stop short of killing him, I guess, right? And so he just like runs away crying, and that's it. And then he comes back down. And he like beats me up, you know? Like after he catches his breath, you know, and all that kind of stuff, he comes back down and he beats me up. And what I learned there, right? Like it's a life lesson. You know, if it's not the best story, you know, brothers, if you guys know about brothers, when we grow up, like we pull knives on each other all the time. You know what I mean? Like we were badasses, right? But anyway, so I part of me like I be hating on Jay-Z for that because he shot his brother, which is something that I wouldn't have done. But like, yeah, like usually brothers, like we do this. Like my father tells this story about how my uncle, you know, would pull a blade on him. You know what I mean? It's like just stuff that brothers do. You're like, you know, my son's the only child, so I guess he doesn't do it, but because he doesn't have any brothers. But like, if he did, I'd probably have to break up some fights occasionally, right? Either way, I learned in that day, right, that if you're gonna fight, you gotta kill somebody. Obviously, I'm not gonna kill my brother. That's something I wouldn't do. But like, there's obviously no point in fighting, or because you have to understand that even if you win a fight, even if you dominate the other person, they can turn around and kill you. You understand? And that's just the thing. And that's the thing that you got to realize with white folk. It's like you give white people mercy. And there's a story inside of one of the greatest books, you know, written in America. is David Walker's appeal. And David Walker, and I think I actually put this section in the Book of Power, right? But David Walker will tell you, hey, there was this time when these black men enslaved Africans, freed themselves miraculously. And then they killed 2 of their 3 captors. And as they were beating the last one, like the white boy, they somehow didn't kill him. And, you know, David Walker kind of curses at this black woman who was there, who kind of helps this white guy up afterward. And then this white guy rounds up all of them and gives them all the death penalty. And they all get the death penalty when they're caught, right? No, he doesn't round up all of them himself, but he goes to the town and the town mobilizes to round them all up, right? But the thing is, he was like, why the fuck, if you're going to do this shit, just kill these motherfuckers. And I mean, obviously, like I said, I mean, if my brother, I wouldn't think about, like, I wouldn't kill my brother. That's stupid. But what I'm saying is that, it like sometimes, you know, I'm quasi spiritual, you know, contrary to what Mr. Untouchable will say about me. But I'm quasi spiritual in the sense that I say, look, that was a life lesson for me, you know, that you could win. You could win the battle. But just winning the battle might mean you lose the war. If you don't finish the war, you can still lose the war. It's the same with these white folk. That they understand about black people. They say, look, you know what? We haven't finished the war. You know, they finished the war with the Native Americans, kind of low key. But like, or they finished the war with the Australians, or they finished the war with the a lot of the exterminated groups that we don't even know about today. You know, there are some groups of African people that we don't even know about. Because, you know, white man came along and eliminated a lot of them. So they won the war against, I don't want to say the Cherokee, because I feel like the Cherokee is still around, but there was a lot more, for instance, Native Americans who were around who they won the war against. And they won the war against a lot of African tribes that we don't even hear about. They're gone forever. No descendants. None. And you know, we don't even like process that today. But the point being that if you leave people alive, you know, you're at risk of getting killed. So I don't know if you guys want to see the rest of this video. If somebody does, or if somebody doesn't, let me know. But yeah, like, check out the video. It's a pretty interesting video where this guy eventually grabs a knife, dead. No, the guy dies in the hospital, but like, it doesn't matter if you're lumbering over. It doesn't matter if you're hard. It doesn't matter if whatever. And I think the advice, the reason why I wanted to show this video is I want to tell you guys, get yourself a weapon. Get yourself a weapon. And defend your life. Defend your life. Okay? Don't lose your life over some dumb shit. All right? Don't lose your life because you are not prepared. Because that's a thing. Let's see what the comments are. Oh, nobody will comment on that. This dude talking about nearly strangling his brother, and everybody's just like, okay. No, typical Ascari shit, right? All right, Emmett Till could be any of our child, except he's older than most of us. Yeah. So we were actually talking about this yesterday on the Shoot the Breeze. I don't know if I should even discuss it. You guys should check out the Shoot the Breeze. Because I actually don't know the facts on this anymore. I watched a documentary on it, but a long time ago. Basically, they're just gonna serve this 87-year-old woman in connection with the murder of Emmett Till. And I guess some people agree with this. I kind of was like, this is a long, this is kind of a delayed reaction, you know? Like, it's kind of a delayed reaction. It's like if I had killed my brother, and then like in 50 years from now, you guys were like, okay, let's charge him with murder. It's like, what the fuck? Like if you charge me with murder now, I could kind of feel how that's, you know, okay. Because it's like, it wasn't that long ago, per se. I mean, it was long ago, but I think we were like young, though. Like, you know, like he could have been like, I don't know. Like, it could have been like we were like 10 and 14 or something like that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not that long ago. I mean, it's kind of long. Yeah. But it's like, if you were to say, okay, now you go to prison for that, like, I probably would be like, ah, shit, you know? But like I could like have some sort of regret. I mean, obviously I would never kill my brother, so I don't even know. I don't know what that is. But like this lady like lived longer than most of us. You know, like the incident, the killing of Emmett Till was in 1955. So a lot of us weren't even alive at that point, and she like lived a full life since then. You know, like if we lived our full lives, like we didn't live our full lives right now, but we lived a good life, and throughout this entire time we were alive. She was alive after. Allegedly, after, this whole killing. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. Anyway, we'll just skip over that though. I feel like we as a people should respond to murder quicker. I feel like we as a people should give punishment to crimes quicker. But I also realize that we are not a people who are giving punishment to crimes anyway. Especially not crimes committed by white people. So that's what I want to say on that. Let's go to the next one. Racism or nationalism. So that sounds interesting. What could it possibly mean? Racism or nationalism. Oh, yeah. So this is, like I said, you can't fight 5 people. So this is a relatively fit guy. Now, they're all armed, obviously. And they're going to just beat him up. And see, you were always existing at their mercy. You were always existing in their social order. You've already consented to be in their social order at the risk of their mercy. And that's the thing. This is the reality of our circumstances, that we always consented to be under their control. And so we just stand around. So the context is Tunisian airline has few operable aircrafts, but overbooked passengers who waited at the airport for 2 days. Then it let only non-black Africans to board. When black Africans protested, they were beaten and charged with threatening the police. And that's what it is. It's like you feel like you have the right to protest, and the reality is this, that life is, it's like that mob that we saw earlier, right? Life is you existing at the mercy of others. Like I said, I lose my package. Why do I lose my package? Because I don't know. But somebody else says, hey, you know what? Fuck this guy. I don't give a shit. If he wants that thing, I want the thing too. It's mine now. And I just have to eat it up. I mean, obviously I can make some phone calls and try to get another package, but yeah, like that's the world. And then they might say, if I call them up and say, hey, I want another package, they say, fuck you. I don't like you. I'm gonna just give you guys just the skinny of this, because I'm trying to move a long time. A little bit chill. He says, look. It says you'll always be last to others, because others will always put themselves first. You call it racism, but no one won't be racist if it means playing fair with their separate interests. If people have different interests from you, right? If people have different interests from you, then they will always put their interests before. They'll always put their interests first. It's like, yeah, and that's the reality. That's just the reality of the world.
Black people just don't get it. All right. We just don't get it. We just don't get it.
If you go to a bar or something, right, and you're a gentleman, right, and you see the nice looking lady, she's not with another man, right? Other men may approach her, and you can play it cool and be like, hey, you know what? That guy approached her. She's his. Or you could be like, fuck that guy. I'm going to take my shot. You know what I mean? You could be fair. You could put inside of your own head, hey, you know what? The rules of engagement is that he first who saw, first claim, that's it. And you could wait along. You could wait on the side. You could so on and so forth. But the reality is this, you play fair and you do all that stuff. you talking to a woman, and then she's talking to you. Some other guy could just walk up, be like, "Hey, what about you come with me?" And you might be like, "Hey, man, you're a dick. You're a dick." Yeah, but guess what? When she goes home with him, what the fuck he cares about your opinion? People are going to put their interest before their interest before your interest, especially in times of scarcity. In this airport situation, there were only so many seats, so they said, "Look, you've been waiting for 2 days. I don't give a shit. Who the fuck are you? I got my own people to take out." Same with what happened in Ukraine. People leaving Ukraine, they were like, "Hey, look, we got to get this train out to get our people out because we need to survive." And you as an African, you say, "Well, I need to survive too." Well, who the fuck cares? And of course, the African world, the black world is complaining, "Oh man, Tunisia, isn't that in Africa? Shit, we can't have any unity with them." Nobody gives a shit. Let's be honest. No one gives a shit, because what does your unity come with? What does your unity come with? Did you build the airlines? Did you build the airports? You were just a consumer, and you're okay with waiting for 2 days to get on a flight. Nobody cares about your unity, and this is the issue that comes in the way of black unity sometimes. No one cares about black unity because what does it come with? What's the benefit? What's the benefit? And until you can communicate what the benefit is, who's going to come along with it? A handful of us. Handful of us is like, you know what? I'm only about our black race. That's good for us. But we have to be realistic and ask ourselves when it comes down to it. It's like what Sister Alma was just saying. She's like, "Hey, look, man, if I'm a Nigerian doctor, I don't, why the fuck am I working in Nigeria if I don't even get paid?" You know how important it is to get your paycheck? In America, if you do not get your paycheck, you call up that job and you say, "Look, man, you give me my damn paycheck." And the thing is this, usually they give you your damn paycheck. In Nigeria, you 2 months out, I don't have a paycheck. And you want people to be loyal instead of, turning around and going to a Western nation where they pay you on time. You got to say, what's the benefit? What is the benefit? I tell y'all, one of the things that really struck me when I was in college was these white folk were telling me, "Oh, I'm going to go to China and teach English." And I'm like, "What? Why?" And they're like, "You should do that too." And I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "It's a good pay." You understand? There's a benefit. These white folk were like, "No, I'm not even going to be loyal to my own country. I won't even teach my own people. I won't even teach people in this American country because I have a better opportunity in China." A nation that allegedly is actively fighting America. These white folk were saying, "No, I'm not loyal. I'm loyal to the dollar. I'm loyal to the opportunity." But then we, on the other hand, and the thing is this, America provides good opportunities for white folk. And even that is not enough for their loyalty. And yet we giving no opportunity to our own people are saying, well, we got to be loyal. And I mean, look, we do have to be loyal. I agree with that. I'm not against that. What I'm trying to articulate here is that you have to go about it from a psychological perspective as well. And the psychological perspective is that you analyze what the individual's motives and desires and needs are, and then you act accordingly. Why is somebody a doctor? Is it to help people, or is it to get a good job, to get good payment? Because if it's to get good payment, you might be like, well, I don't like doctors like that. That's fine. Other people do. I don't want my doctor to only want money. Well, yeah, that's good for you. Other people do. Let's go to the past. Oh, let me see what the comments are. No statute of limitation on murder. Yeah, we were talking about statute of limitation yesterday. I think allegedly her warrant was on kidnapping. So I was like, I think the statute of limitation on kidnapping. I know there's no statute of limitation on murder, but yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, like I said, I don't even know the case. Apparently, it seems like she was just a lying-ass liar. But like I said, when we grew up, I had a documentary. Can't remember who produced it, but I think it was like a black produced documentary, and the idea back then was like a lot of people. Yeah, it's a complicated case, but you know, if they get her, you know, they got some old lady in prison. You know, she already lived her life. She'll just be in prison, and maybe it's like I said, it could be the right thing, but like it's just the right thing too late. You know, we're gonna go to the past me's. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. This is a threefer. Let's see what the threefer is. This is a two pass me's and an ABA. So who's the ABA? Miss Two Rants says, oh yeah, so you don't know people's husbands are here. You want to put men into less, a foot soldier of patriarchy. So sometimes the ABAs are also the Christians. Okay, sometimes the ABAs are also Christians. So this is in Africa. This is so let me see. I guess she's a pass me in an ABA. Yeah, I don't know. Well, basically, there's this young woman just walking through.
What is this one that you people are wearing?
And then she just harasses them.
Hello, I'm talking to you. Am I not enough to be your mother? Look at the way you dress. And I'm talking to you, you're just person. Where are you coming from? Why do you dress like this? Inside the market. Can you give me good reason? Can you, two of you, give me good reason why you strip naked inside the market? Can you give me reason? Speak to me quickly. Can you give me reason why you dress like this? You were in the house where? What kind of business are you doing in this house?
Yeah, all right. So basically, long story short, I mean, it could have been 30 more seconds, but she's just going to reprimand them for having their legs out, I guess, which is ironic because, you know, in Africa, people used to just walk around naked because it's hot, you know, like it's just fucking hot. You know, it's not really ideal to have on. Like what she's wearing right now is kind of excessive in that kind of a temperature. I guess this was the ABA. No, this was the ABA. And this is the ABA and the pass me, and this is the pass me, or something like that. But she goes, you don't know. She's a foot soldier of the patriarchy. So that was really like why I put her into the pass me section. But yeah, it's just an interesting little snippet. It's not that important, so we're gonna just move on from there. This is shout out to this Asian man. So apparently, I think some Asian man took some loser as a woman, and just shout out to the guy for that. Let's see what she's like. Ancestors weep. Oh yeah, fuck.
Start with our.
Look at this shit.
Okay, now we're getting our milk over top, just like this. It's gonna cook more when it's in the. This is gonna give it a nice little. Okay. And we're gonna go heavy on the cheese, okay? Pepper on the top, just a little bit. Cooking needs salt and pepper. We all know. No one's ever seen it. This is a special recipe that my great. All right, so we're just gonna pop it in the oven.
Special recipe with my great
so
what? Great terrier or some shit.
Stir it.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so we're gonna give it a nice stir.
Wow.
Get all that cheese that was in the middle.
That just melted.
Nice stir.
And we're gonna put it back in the oven right away.
And now we're gonna put it right back in the oven.
Oh, okay.
And now we're gonna put it back in the oven for about 15 more minutes.
Wow.
There we go.
Oh my God, is it ready?
Gosh, it looks so
Is
good.
it ready?
So
Let me see. Oh my goodness, that looks amazing. Oh my goodness, that looks amazing.
Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Here, you want some?
Yeah, I want some.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh.
Okay, so we want to start with our.
All right, sorry. That was so freaking gross. Yeah, all right. That was just. All right. All right, this was another one. This was actually we could skip this one. I was just gonna make for the Lero. Let's see. I had to sit down for this one. Oh yeah, this one I had to sit down on. This is just some dumb stuff, I guess. A lot of pass me's. The last one was some woman stealing in a Macy's. Somebody said this is the blackest thing I've ever seen.
No wonder she thinks she's human.
I don't know if you can see it. You gonna eat? Come on.
Lord, thank you for this food that we're about to receive for the nourishment of our bodies, for Christ's sake. Amen.
Yeah, all right. So when you read Booker T. Washington's Up From Slavery, which is a book you should probably read because it was a book that inspired Marcus Garvey, right? But when you read it, he says this is one point where he's like in disappointment, right? Where he says he heard a black person, like an enslaved African, relate to, he was like, our master sold 4 of us, myself, my brother, and 2 donkeys. And it broke Booker T. Washington because he was like, this human being didn't even think of himself as separate from the animals, you know? Now, obviously, this is not an example like that. I don't know if this is an example like that, but this is definitely a past me. Just a general advice for men out there that if a woman is praying with her dog, that you just like, no. Like, you just know, you know? This is the last one. Oh, yeah, this is like a real past me. This is like a dangerous woman. I'm going to be honest with you. This is a dangerous woman. This is a woman, if you get into a relationship with this woman, she will try to beat you, okay? She will try to beat you, and you may end up beating her and going to prison. Like, this is a toxic woman. This is an awful woman. She says, 1 hour into my shift, send that nigger doctor in here and bring me a whip. My granddaddy owned slaves. Okay? You guys can't see my face, but I'm just like, what? And so you say to yourself, what is she going to do? What is she going to say after that? And she says, it's going to be a triple caffeinated sort of day. I'm going to drink 3 coffees. Yeah. So, so, I mean, I had to. I thought she was going to block me. Good thing she didn't. I had to tell her what an IS is, which is, ma'am, no disrespect, but you're a loser, you know? Like, you're a fucking loser. This brother write down weak ass motherfuckers, and then, you know, I kind of explained. He says, he called me an N-word, so I got to drink coffee today, head ass, right? This lady kind of engages me for a while and says, what would you do? And says, ain't no what would I do? Ain't no one in their right mind disrespecting me like that. I damn sure won't be drinking no damn coffee, though. And she goes, she's a doctor, she took an oath, so if there's no other doctor, she still has to treat this patient, and maybe coffee is the only thing that relaxes her on her shift. Many medical professionals deal with this daily. So you kind of understand right here, right, that a lot of black people, a lot of black women are like, yeah. I mean, like, because the thing is this, you know, like I said, I tried to read Engels one day, right? So Engels is like Marx's buddy. And what was interesting was that he started talking about domestic violence. And he said one of the reasons why domestic violence is a thing is because when the laborer is frustrated at work, he comes home and takes it off on his spouse, right? He's going to be more irritable because he can't really act against his employer, but he can't act against somebody weaker than him, which is his wife, right? And so now this woman's a doctor, and she's frustrated, you know? Because I can't imagine you're at work and somebody addresses you as an N-word, and then you have to serve them. Okay? So obviously this woman tells me she took an oath, and so there's no other doctors, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, look, took an oath? You know, so J. Marion Sims didn't take an oath? Did the doctors at Tuskegee not take an oath? Did the doctors who injected people with HIV not take an oath? You know, kindly buzz off, right? There's a time for oaths and a time for some damn self-respect. And, you know, I told her we're done here. She did continue, and I'll give you guys some of her thing. Shout out to D-Web, by the way. Make sure you guys follow D-Web. D-Web is the owner of, he's the Harsh Reality podcaster. So shout out to him. He says it's a Democratic shill account. He said he'd block her right away. Other brother said he would block her. He blocked her as well. But I want to just go over what she's saying because she's kind of lost in the sauce, and it's kind of interesting. So she says, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams was the first successful open heart surgery. Percy Julian synthetic to treat glaucoma. Dr. Charles Drew created blood banks and blood plasma. Patricia Bath patented the laser for cataract surgery. Don't know what this means, but she's telling me. Thomas Edison helper was a black man that actually created the light bulb, but Tom stole it from him. All these folks dealt with racism you wouldn't understand. They were denied things white people could get easily. They had ideas stolen, but they kept going. And these people you named are from a time when some thought blacks were animals. This doctor and others face this daily. Hospital workers face this daily. But a friend of mine from Nigeria put it in perspective. He said he always laughs when he's called a racial slur. He said, before I graduated high school, I had to know at least 10 languages fluently. At least this white man only knows one. I know what I am. I'm done here. Good day. Right? So yeah, I don't know what this is supposed to mean, but like, again, like, this is the issue. This is the past me issue, because what happens is that, one, if you're frustrated at work, you're going to take it out on other people in your life. You know, if you're frustrated generally, you're going to take it out on other people in your life. So that's why I want to tell you guys, you have to stay away from these kind of people. But the other thing is this, that if you're disrespect, it's like there's this sister, this elder, this ancestor in America, right? African American woman. She does not have a big name, a big title. She's really just an elder who had like nothing. Like, she was probably like a common laborer, you know, not like a big politician, no big political activity, just probably somebody who had a random interview one day. But she said some wise things, right? So her name is Ruth Shays, and she was one time asked something, and she said, look, it does not matter what you think. You know, if you don't know when you've been spit on, right? If you do not know when you've been spit on, it does not matter what else you may think you know. Okay? Like, it doesn't matter what else you think you know if you've been spit on. And that's kind of what these people are battling with. Like, they're being spit on. Get that N-word doctor in here, right? And they're trying to find a way to cope and ignore the fact that they've been spit on. And so if a person can be, because see, me, I don't get spit on like that. I'm sorry, I don't. You know, if you guys saw yesterday, had my arms out, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm a 190 pound black guy. I mean, 193 now, maybe 195 actually, but 195 pound, 6 foot tall black guy. And ain't nobody spitting on me. You know, you gotta be like a group of people. Like, I gotta be on a weird circumstance for you to spit on me. You know, not to say that there's not bigger guys than me, but usually they're few and far between. You know what I mean? Like you know, like D-Web probably listening, like, I'm bigger than this guy. Yeah, D-Web's bigger than me, obviously. But, you know, so yeah, D-Web probably spit on me every while. No, like, don't do that. But what I'm saying is that, and that sounds kind of weird, so I'm not even gonna finish that sentence. But what I'm saying is that most people ain't gonna be spitting on me. Right? Or like Matumbo, probably, you know, yeah, he's a big guy. But, you know, again, like, I don't go through life like this. But the fact that some people do, and they kind of just, like, I can't relate, one. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, you have to avoid these kind of people who, like, just kind of just go with it. Because they will be abusive in their private life. Like, I'm not going to follow this lady. I'm not going to. And I mean, obviously, when I say they will be, like, I'm not going to say that as 100% because I don't want, you know, whatever. But, like, I would just watch out for these kind of people, generally speaking. Because when you're spit on, you just have to. Like, it's like clockwork. You're going to react to something, you know? LOL, ancestors weeping for real. Learning Curve says she thinks being their doctor is better than having self-respect. HWR, her technical training does not make up for her social ignorance. Yeah, it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing, to be sure. Let's go on to the next one, though. I think we finished that whole category. I mean, the other one was the stealing couple. It was pretty interesting, but it's just funny. And like, part of me is like, why am I being funny? ABA transition. This was the one that was rejected. Oh no. Alphabet. It's not Alphabet.
It is my mission today to stop you from being a homosexual.
You're a victim. Here we go, see it.
I get so sick of sisters, I don't know what to do.
Oh, twerking for votes. I picked up on the word yams from that video on Truth to Breeze, so I'm like gonna say like I've never been mad at any yams. Not gonna hold y'all. So this is the U.S. senator. She's twerking, but my thing is this: like realistically, I don't mind. Rhode Island Senator Mack made this video encouraging people to vote for her. She also now see this is the part that I probably don't really care for. For a big extent, she said she also sponsored a bill for teaching kids queer inclusive pleasure-based sex ads.
Senator Mack.
So like I said, I got TikTok. TikTok is a bunch of twerking and a bunch of interpretive dance that includes twerking. You know, like this is more socially relevant and more socially of the zeitgeist than a lot of us understand, because a lot of us are not on TikTok anymore. You know what I mean? Or a lot of us are not on TikTok. So we don't really understand what's socially relevant, what's so on and so forth. It's kind of like how when a lot of us were growing up, we had newspapers, like in your hand newspapers. Like we had news subscriptions where people would deliver papers to us every weekend. You know, we had Sunday comics and all that kind of stuff. Like grown ass folk were like reading Sunday comics and doing crossword puzzles around America based off of these newspapers. And then like internet news came along, right? Internet news came along and we were like, that's stupid. Nobody's going to do that. Then like YouTube came along and like, you know, we used to watch news on not even like CNN. We would like wait until 10 o'clock to get the news or something. Or like eventually it was like, oh, you can get news at 4 o'clock and you get news at 6 o'clock. Sometimes we didn't even have the radio. The point is that it's like a freaking different world that we grew up in. Like a very different world. We would listen to the radio and like maybe there was like a station that talked about news at a certain hour and all that kind of stuff. But it was like you had to tune in. And then there were shows that maybe started doing news. And then we had CNN that was like all the time showing you news, right? All day, 24/7 showing you a news story, which was new to us. And we were like, that's stupid. What kind of a station only plays news? Like, where's the comedy? Where's the so on and so forth? Why would anybody want to watch news all day, right? But they kept going. And then eventually, like, you started having articles. And there were like long ass articles like we had back in the newspapers. Then they started having articles that were like 5 paragraphs. Then we started having Twitter. Twitter was like 100. Like originally Twitter had half the amount of characters as it did now. So like right now it's like 240 characters and it used to be like 120 or something like that. Like it was tiny, but that was the wave. And then they were like, actually that's kind of too small. But notwithstanding, all of this is changing to the point where now it's like you go to a new, like somebody, I remember, my son's mother was like, hey, look at this article. I want to send you an article on child development. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Sure, send me the article. And then she sends me this article and it's like 3 paragraphs. It's like, yeah, well, you shouldn't hit a kid. And then that's it. And you're just like, what? Like, where's the rest of it? And I'm just like, why would you call this an article? But like, we're at that time where it's an article and, you know, everything is kind of much more expedited in the sense of, you know, like I said, you tune into a Michael Jackson music video, you know, Smooth Criminal, it's 12 fucking minutes. Thriller was like a classic. It's like 14 minutes. You know, I don't know the exact number, but they're pretty long. You know, Black or White is like 9 minutes, you know, with a whole, you know, like it's just long ass songs. Then I think I recently found a Kelly Rowland song and they were like, you know, because there was a lot of pictures coming from the Kelly Rowland song and, you know, you want to check out Kelly Rowland, why not? And Kelly Rowland song was like a minute and 14 seconds. You know? So yeah, times are changing. And so this ad, which is not really like an ad, I feel like if you were familiar with TikTok, you kind of know that people are just twerking all day. And so I feel like she was just twerking and then she also said, you know what, I'm a senator. You know what I mean? And that's like pretty much how I would interpret this. But it also, if you understand like the demographic at this point, this is empowering. You know, this is empowering. This is in vogue. This is, hey, you know what? I teach comprehensive, queer, inclusive, pleasure-based sex ed. And this is comprehensive, queer, inclusive, pleasure-based sex ed. You know, it's not that prude shit. It's not that, hey, women need to cover up. Women need to cover up, and, you know, nipples are bad and breasts are terrible and shaking your ass is an awful thing. This is, like this is the world we're in. And like, if you're not familiar with this world, that's too bad. It's kind of like, eventually you're going to see black politicians who are like, N-word this, N-word that. And you might be like, oh, that's so inappropriate. Why are they doing that? And it's like, yeah, this is the era. Like times have changed. You know, what is considered professional, what is considered appropriate, it's constantly being challenged. And for better or worse, this is where it's coming to. You know, where the popular is becoming the professional. You know? And I said this yesterday too, but what I want us to understand about this in particular is that like this is where the society is transforming to. This is it. So yeah, like I kind of would have a problem with this, but you know, like this part where she's teaching queer inclusive, but like pleasure-based sex, that's like the new thing. And I mean, like not too many people are going to be mad at that. Like not too many people who are really supporting black women and the embrace of black women are going to be mad at that. Oh yeah. What I wanted to say was that, you know, like I said, I had this African-American coworker who would be like, I think at one point I was like, oh, I don't like when you say the N-word kind of thing. And they were like, who are you? You're not even black. Why are you telling us black people how to be black? You know, we don't tell you guys how to be Jamaican kind of thing. Right. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. I didn't know this was a thing, but like, it was interesting, but then she would go on, look, I got relatives who have these degrees and these scholarship, and they're smart. They have 10 degrees, they have, you know, master degrees and PhDs, and they talk like any of us, you know, and we're this and we're that, so on and so forth. Why is it that, you know, and she was like, you think like a colonizer and you think like a white person if you don't think that the N-word is a good word, so on and so forth, blah, 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 blah. And like, that's our black experience, and we're the judge of, we're the arbiters of blackness, and blah, 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 blah. And so this whole twerking thing is kind of an extension of that whole conversation too, because you'll constantly see quote unquote professional black women who will be like, hey, yeah, I'm a professional. I handle legal cases, and I twerk too. I dance too. I hoe too, you know? And it's a thing. It's a thing going on. And so this woman is just kind of like, hey, look, I'm a senator, but I still have an Ivy League degree, and I still twerk in a beach. And it's like, nobody really cares. And like, nobody really should really care if she twerks in a beach. And like, part of me is like, I don't really care about America that much to be like, well, you're a senator, so you shouldn't twerk. But it is what it is. So somebody saying, breaking unearthed photo of Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Coretta Scott protesting for the Montgomery bus boycott. And so she goes, look, damn, twerking upside down really makes the conservatives on Hinge internet accounts pop off on a Monday. So this woman says, look, I'm not a conservative. I'm disappointed. Where do we draw the line on the behavior of public figures? I like when we have a standard of decorum that we want our people to rise to be uncommon, to be admired. This ain't it. So she goes, Tara Mack. So this is why I relate this to the African-American woman was saying, where she goes, girl, I have an Ivy League degree, and I am a state senator. Hate to break it to you, their decorum isn't for us. They can't respect us in a system designed to oppress us. So this is the, you know, like the same thing with the, who are you to tell me how to be black? Except for that, because they're both black, she doesn't say that. She just simply says, look, let's be honest. And the thing is that if you grew up with hip hop, the thing that you realize is that we were wearing baggy, like stupid looking outfits, but there were baggy jeans and oversized shirts. And we were doing that to say, we don't need to dress like you to be appropriate or whatever. You know what I mean? And the same with the sagging now, where it's like, we don't need to dress like you. We don't need to respect you, so on and so forth. Or we don't need to be like you. We can be our own people. And so this is kind of like, she started taking on that narrative of we can be our own people. And like, we're pushing against the cultural norm. And that's a thing that's like kind of been constantly in the hip hop scene. And, you know, you kind of heard it in the I Like Big Butts, you know, in that song, where he's like, I don't want the flat ass white girl. Give me this thick sister or whatever. Oh yeah, so I wanted to give you guys some more imagery of other people. Let's see what the comments are like. Alan Bookman says it's in vogue, but she got dragged on Twitter, the one of the most left-leaning spaces. Yeah, I mean everybody gets dragged on Twitter. What TikTok do you have? Mine is mostly history and cooking. Well, yeah, I mean, men are always gonna have a different TikTok, you know. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, like if you look at something for 2 seconds, it's gonna show you more of that thing you looked at for 2 seconds. And you know, when you're new to TikTok, you're scrolling through and you're like, what is that? I can't believe this, you know. Anyway, woman says it's in vogue, but she got dragged. Yeah, possibly, but I think she's running unopposed. You know what I mean? So it's just like, who cares if she gets dragged? She like legit. Like it's like, what is the threat at hand? You know? Real Black Gentleman says hard pass on Tiara Mac. Yeah, I mean, I don't really care for LGBT, all that kind of stuff, but a lot of people do. So this is the MP. He's been given a job by Boris in the Ministry of Education. Johnson is not gone. He's still Prime Minister. He hasn't resigned. He's still in number 10 appointing position. And you can kind of see in the new Education Minister, this is a white guy who's wearing a mask to diss people about the pandemic. So he's like, hey, you know, like when we talk about inappropriate politicians, like that's another thing. It's like you have to be all inclusive. But we're not. You know, this is another inappropriate politician. Says new education minister, this is in England, obviously, again, gives a middle finger salute to members of the public outside Downing Street. If there's one image that captures everything that is wrong with the government, it's this. This woman just says, hey, fuck you guys, you know? And then, of course, I just saw this one today. This is your boy Marcel, another queer, actually. And he was on this woman's ass about her ass, I guess. And this is Marcel, just today, 8:13 a.m. And he's in good shape. His old ass face though, I would have never guessed. But anyway, I take medication for my mental health, but I also include proper nutrition, adequate sleep, spiritual fulfillment, sunshine, and regular exercise into my routine as always. Always remember, health is not just one thing, it is everything. Now this is the guy who admits to having multiple boyfriends, many of them Nigerian, which is weird because he's like also the symbol of hatred for the FBA movement. But like again, like this is just loving your body, you know, and it's just a new thing. It's not something to like shame somebody's body over. This guy who was like half naked in the mask with a mask over himself, so he was naked, but he wore a mask over his penis. Like there's nothing, like there's no, I mean, you could do it, you could be dragged, you could so on and so forth, but at the end of the day, you know, I think that, you know, when I looked at Senator Mac's video, it seemed like she just loves her body. And the way how she communicates it later is that, yeah, I'm sexy and I know it. And I mean, I don't necessarily think she's sexy per se, but like, yeah, like I'm not like people loving their body, kind of like what Marcel is doing. It's like, if you like your body, you want to show it off. Like this is the era where people do that, you know, like this is the era where people do that. Like it's not even like I can't really say much else about it except for that this is the era that people do that, which is not like necessarily a bad era to be in, but if we're like sitting back and saying, hey, why do you find yourself sexy, you know, or you're a public figure and you find yourself sexy, it's like, yeah, you know, like this is not the 1950s, you know what I mean? And like it's not like, you know, female politicians or male politicians never found themselves sexy before. Like Ronald Reagan probably found himself sexy, and he probably found his wife sexy, and you know, that other lady, Donald Trump's wife, probably found herself sexy, among other things. You know, it's just like that's what people do. It's not even like this is just that era, you know, the post-60s era for America. Anyway, let's go to the next subject. Let me see if the comrades are even a thing though. Wait, do I have comrades? I don't think I even have comrades. No, I don't have comrades. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I have neverlutionaries. So let's just do the neverlutionaries.
Black people just don't get it. We just don't get it. We just don't get it.
Okay, so black people just don't get it. Let's go to the next one. So it's in his kiss. Actually, I don't know if I should even play this, but basically, you guys could check this out. This is a new movie called Woman King, and you watch the trailer. The thing with trailers is that you can't play the music. A lot of the music is licensed. Yeah, so this is actually the scene right here. I'll turn off the music, and you see she kind of kisses a white boy. So this is like the new movie they're giving black folk, and black folk are eating it up. And it's just like, ugh, like you just can't win. Like they're gonna talk about Dahomey, notorious community, a notoriously famous empire, if you will, right? And they're gonna discuss it, and they're telling a story, and some black people are co-signing it, obviously, and they're gonna tell a story where at some point one of the female protagonists, who's not Viola Davis, is going to be making out with one of the colonizers, one of the people who are going to destroy Dahomey, kind of in a Pocahontas fashion. So it's just kind of like, ugh, and the thing is that a lot of black people are going to watch it and love it and enjoy it. And what's going to come from it is nothing, but it is whatever. So wait on black people. Oh yeah, so this is the last one for the Neverlutionaries. We're going to just go right to it because first off, I can't even play the video, and it is what it is. This is some South African boy.
What is 16 times 45?
720.
Wait, how do you know? Let me just confirm. Let's calculate one much.
16 times 45.
16 times 45.
720.
720. Yo. Okay. Let's say 855 times 50.
42,750.
All right, you got it right. 1,650.
Okay, so the point is that he does progressively larger multiplication. And if you go look into his family, like if you look into his name and his history, he's been doing this since he's like 11 or younger. Here's what I want you to pay attention to though. So this is the enemies within, obviously. And it's like this. In Europe, when Europeans find out that one is good at math, they say, come to my school, right? And in Africa, when Africans find out one is good at math, they say, go to their school. Okay? So here's a sister. This is the brother in South Africa, a young man in South Africa. Help me get the details of this brilliant math genius. I'd like him to study at UCT Online High School. His talent cannot be passed by. I want to pay for his studies to make it possible for him to access good education, to enable him to use his talent to change the world. So what's UCT Online? That's University of Cape Town Online High School, right? So the University of Cape Town Online High School has its own so on and so forth. You look into it, blah, blah, blah. Now, the principal is black, but it's obviously the University of Cape Town. You know what I mean? This was a separate story of the same little boy. And again, it's 3 years later, right? So 3 years later, somebody else came, 4 years later.
Times 600.
59,400,000.
Like a...
Yeah. So apparently like a police officer saw him and, whatever. Point is that what comes of it? Absolutely nothing. He's invited to this school. Can't remember which video. I put up a few videos of the school. It's for
combined. The other South Africa between the two.
So you kind of skip through, and this is the principal, and you're kind of like, oh, cool.
This ecosystem includes an entirely.
Is it a black school?
We find
but like,
ourselves
it's not. It's obviously the University of Cape Town.
The usual way.
Kind of thing. But like the principal is a black woman, which is cool. But then you kind of skip forward and you like look at their other videos, and it's important to have videos that kind of give people an impression. We were talking about this yesterday on Truth the Breeze, so make sure you check out that conversation. So this is a black boy saying, "Hey, I'm a student here."
She's a superhero.
And what he does is he connects with, this is the teacher.
With a calendar that's work through things.
with my
And then
friends.
this is the classroom.
Then
You saw it.
Some lands have so much anything.
There's another teacher. I guess you saw it quickly.
That life.
You guys can check out the video on your own time.
Person at school.
Um,
Play guitar with Tammy.
Plays the guitar with Tammy, and that's
We
Tammy.
get outdoors all the time too. Every Saturday.
So like, you also pick up on like the subtlety, because remember this is South Africa, right? So South Africa is a majority African population, a majority black population. They're dealing with the need for black people to have more land and to get their land back from the white colonizers, right? And yet the propaganda being pushed inside of this school is pretty much like, if you notice, like, build a better, solid, friendly relationship with white people, with the landowners. I mean, not with the colonizers, and the colonial descendants. You understand? So it's really interesting when you go back to what the context is of this parent. So this lady saying, "Hey, look, I'd like to pay for your schooling. I'd like to pay for your schooling so that you can go and build a better relationship with the colonizers." You understand? And I want to just say another thing right there is, in regards to this, is that, yesterday there was this prompt in Shoot the Breeze where this brother who's active in Africa, active repatriate in Africa, he is pushing for black people to support his movement, right? And what you see from his video versus the video we just saw with the student, having a good experience with his online education where he can bond with white people, right? Is that they had actors and they had a nice polished, well-to-do video. Whereas with the brother who's active in getting the repatriation movement in Africa, he did not have a good video. Like, his video was kind of like, who the fuck would support this? At one point, he's like, man, this is the only person who stuck around with me after all the turmoil. And just like, why would you even say that? Why would anybody want to go there if they want to say that? And so I think I spoke about the, how advertising, I was talking about my experience with my son, where my son would like go to stores and be like, oh, I'd ask my son, hey, what kind of candy do you want? And he'd say Skittles. Now, this guy never had Skittles before, right? But what I realized with regard to advertising is that they appeal to the toddler, like that twerking video of Senator Mack, like all of us saw it, if I were to show you another video, few of us, like I show you another advertising video, another campaign video, few of us would have seen it, right? But we all saw it because it appeals to our inner toddler, our inner high schooler, right? Whereas, the way how I look at it is that, like, as I was in the store, I was like thinking to myself, because I'm in the dollar store or whatever, and I'm thinking to myself, if I were to sell chocolate, I would sell it like an intellectual. Chocolate has these health benefits, that health benefits, so on and so forth. And that's okay, except for that it only works against other intellectuals. Whereas the way how these white folk are selling chocolate is they're like, ooey gummy yummy, ooey gooey yummy. And the trouble is that all of us understand ooey gooey yummy. Like when I said ooey gooey yummy, right? Or for instance, when I said the health studies and so on and so forth, some people listening were like, oh, I know, I'm familiar with that health study. Some people listening were like, oh, I didn't even know about that, right? When I said ooey gooey yummy, all of us were like, oh yeah, shit, that chocolate. Oh, I know what that is. I know what that looks like. And so it speaks towards, advertising. I want you guys to go back and listen to Shoot the Breeze yesterday. Not just because of what I said, but, generally I do want you guys to hear that because I can't necessarily repeat it because I don't know it. I mean, I could technically play the video, but whatever. You guys go ahead and do that. So this is a poem that reminded me of this whole situation with the kid, and I wrote it, so I want to read it again, and you guys could actually hear a video of me reading it, but it goes, look for my eggs, right? So it says, look for my eggs, said the bird to the man. They have not developed a way to run, right? So like eggs can't run, okay? So a bird is telling a man, hey, do you want to eat? Go eat my eggs, right? And the man, and she's like, look for my eggs. because they have not developed a way to run. Look for my eggs, said the bird to the man, or retire hungry with the setting sun, right? Go hungry. And if you wanted to hear the poem, you could hear it somewhere else, right? Look for my eggs, said the bird to the man, though no true father would allow you to, which he's saying is this. I wouldn't really allow you to look for my eggs, but I'm telling you, go look for my eggs, right? Go get it. He says, look for my eggs, said the bird to the man, you will not find them because I hid them from you, okay? He's like, you can look, but you're not going to find them, right? And this is something that you pick up on. I picked up on this when I was walking through my neighborhood where you might see some chipmunks. You might see some chipmunks, but you never see baby chipmunks. You know, in your neighborhood, you never see baby chipmunks. You see big ass chipmunks. You see big ass birds. You never see newborn birds. In fact, all the birds around you, if you've noticed when you walk through the city, you've never seen chicken eggs. You've never seen bird eggs unless you were like really searching for it. But generally speaking, you do not see bird eggs. You might see a lot of birds over the course of time, but you never see bird eggs. You know, up until recently, I never even saw insect eggs. I did see them at one point when I poisoned them, cause trap them. But like usually you don't even see insect eggs. They don't put them in front of you, right? Because look for your eggs, said the bird to the man. You will not find them. I hid them from you. Look for my eggs, said the bird to the man. There are places too high, too far, too gone. Look for my eggs, said the bird to the man. But now it's too late. They hatched and moved on. So he's saying, look, you never see my eggs. You never see my young. And these are the animals around us. We see animals all the time. We never see their young. It's very rarely that you're going to see a young animal. And I'm telling you, look from your experience. You look back and say, I've seen chipmunks. Well, have you ever seen a baby chipmunk? Have you ever seen a newborn chipmunk? Occasionally on YouTube, you might see, oh my gosh, these are chipmunks giving birth. Or not YouTube, but like Twitter or whatever. I don't know, whatever. You might, oh my gosh, what is going on? And people are just like, what's fucking going on? But you never see it. These animals have been here as long as we have. We've never seen them giving birth. These animals have been there longer than us. And we don't see them. So he goes, why are your eggs, asked the bird of the man, never hidden from your predator's hand? So he's like, look, I hide my birds from you. You're my predator. You're the predator. I hide my eggs from you. But what you do is you hand your kids over to the people you allege are your predators and your oppressors and your enemies. That's a difference. This is the Pro-Black Companion, by the way. So you guys, if you like poetry and stuff, not that it's a poetry book, but if you just like general knowledge, you can check out the Pro-Black Compendium. Anyway, let's go to the Pan-Africanist, though. This is a new one, though. I changed that from the last one.
Bullshit.
So I see a comment saying that I should play the neverlutionary transition again, so I'm gonna do that.
Black people just don't get it. We just don't get it. We just don't get it.
All right, so shout out to Brother Bakari. For some reason, I can't see this last comment. Oh, well, did the comment? Oh, I see. It says message retracted. Alma Bookman says it's in vogue. Okay, it's hard pass, so on and so forth. Bit of Medicine says we let too much slide. He's talking about the sister. Brother Bakari says play that dancing scene again with the police. That is just funny. Yeah, it's just random. Apparently, he's actually the founder of Crunk, though. I didn't know that. They were like, put some respect on his name. He founded Crunk Dancing. So he's actually like pretty popular in that circle. And so that's why it was something. But like to the rest of us, this was kind of stupid. So I said I found this on the Pan-Africanist page. So I'm just going to go over this quickly. The Pan-Africanists, some of the Pan-Africanists are actually attacking this lady for looking like, for her nose, which is just lame, right? So they're like, oh, look at this. So it's like, what do you know about when you know you are made in the image of your creator, you know your worth enough not to allow anyone or anything to define your value. And so that's her, Professor Thuli Madansela, right? Madansela. she's like, when you know you're created in your creator. So she's probably like some Christian idiot or whatever. But still, I wouldn't do this, compare her to a gorilla, especially considering that she doesn't even look like, she doesn't even have the same face as a gorilla. But it is what it is. Apparently they don't like her at this point. I don't know for what or for why, but it kind of touches back onto that, appealing to the child in us, where it's like, you're just going to make fun of how she looks. And it's funny. I should tell you guys, I got my son this video game. I could say the name of it. It's just such an awkward game. It's like the Untitled Goose Game, right? And so I said, let him play it because I want him to like play a 3D game, three-dimensional game, right? This is like it's a 3D game, right? And what you do is you play as this goose who is annoying, right? Like you just, like basically he found a way to like find a farmer. And as a goose, you're supposed to just annoy him, kind of. Like you're supposed to actually like take his keys or something like that. But what happens is that the game interacts to everything you do. So if you go up to a fountain or something, or you go up to a barrel with water in it, you could turn on the barrel, and the farmer will walk over and turn off the barrel. Or you can knock over a vase, and the farmer will walk over and pick up the vase. And so my son is just laughing his ass off, turning on the water and watching the other guy turn off the water. Turn on the water, and the guy turns off the water. Like, he completely misses the point of the game, but he's having a ball. He's just like, I turned the water, and the guy, and it's like, I don't get it, right? But that is what is entertaining. Like, I can make a game, because if you see my profile, I say I'm a game developer, right? I can make a game. I don't know if I can get that kind of reaction from my game. I don't know if I can get that kind of reaction from my game where it's just like, oh, this is so freaking good, so fun. And he's just doing the dumbest thing I've ever seen this is the dumbest thing I've seen that day, or that week. So yeah, this is kind of like, why would you do this? Like, why are you attacking a black person on how they look? But it is what they're doing now. Eventually somebody else, I think it's somebody else, puts out this video, this image where they say, the nose of a sellout. And so they show her again and this guy. So they're attacking her and him based off of how they look. And meanwhile, this is like probably like a pretty typical look in South Africa. You know what I mean? It's just whatever. This one is here. The next Pan-Africanist. This is, I'll find whoever is responsible. Well, he has red paint on his hand. So this is your boy, Buhari. For those of you who are not familiar with Buhari, Buhari says, look, I'm saddened by the attack on the medium security custodial center, Kuje. I am disappointed with the intelligence system. How can terrorists organize, have weapons, attack a security installation, and get away with it? I'm expecting a comprehensive report on this shocking incident. And of course, if you don't know who Buhari is, he's pretty much the responsible party. You know what I mean? He's pretty much a responsible party. How these terrorists are organized and have weapons and attack security installations, well, you got to go back and find out who these terrorists work for, more or less. And so this is obviously one of the Pan-Africanists in our midst. And it's an unfortunate situation that people in Nigeria find themselves in. There is this, his opposition, like one of the people who are leading the opposition against him is this President Obi, or this Obi person. Hopefully somebody dethrones Buhari. I'm not really familiar with any of their policies or what have you, but hopefully something happens, something comes about it. So this right here is the last one. These are Pan-Africanists. So when we think about Pan-Africanists, we're thinking about the socialists, the leftists, the white oriented people. I think you saw from the video, I think I'll play it again, the transition from before. We saw, wait, let me see what the comments are. I think somebody, wait, hold on a second. I think the comments are saying something. Brother Bakari says the original crunk dancing is from Africa. Yeah, I think, I'm not necessarily, what I mean is that he's the one who gets the credit, in America. That guy, like, it's like a more recent, I don't know what it's called. Like maybe it's like Stomp or Gromp or something stupid, but this guy is pretty popular for it. Real Black Gentleman says her nose ain't that bad. Yeah, I agree. I think that's pretty good. You know, like I don't care. I mean, like you know, like why would I complain about a black person's nose? So it's like what to do with America. So this is the Pan-Africanist. This is like we're gonna look at this guy. This is the issue I have with a lot of these quote unquote socialists. But by the way, this guy is actually I like this guy. This guy when I was in college, he came over and he like I wasn't really familiar with Pan-Africanism at the time. Like I was more so like familiar with like 14th Amendment or 13th Amendment kind of thing where it was like I recognized that the school system was against black people in America and you know the prison system was enslaving black people in America. So like I was pretty much, you know, kind of like trying to uplift, you know, like in America almost exclusively. And this guy actually came to the school and explained to us about the Congo situation. And I didn't know at the time, but apparently the Congo week that he was talking about was like brand new and he was just doing a school tour. And he just happened to bump into me. And then I asked him some questions and he said, and he advised me to read Nkrumah and Wretched of the Earth, Frantz Fanon. So when I was doing the Frantz Fanon reading, I was telling you guys, hey, somebody told me I should read Frantz Fanon and I never did. So apparently this is the same guy who told me. So it's pretty cool. His name is Kambala Musavali. But this guy right here, Channing Martinez, is the one we're going to check out. He's 42 minutes in, and this is the guy who you're going to expect, who thinks he's going to lead a revolution in America.
In the Strategy Center, in the Police-Free LAUSD coalition. I'm all for that, which defunded the LA school police budget by $25 million so far as they move to full defunding. I just got hyped reading your introduction. Shannon, take it away.
Testing. Can you guys hear me? So thank you for that introduction.
It's revolutionary.
You know, the first thing I want to start with is thanking Sabina for adding me and adding the bus riders into this panel. I want to thank Cameron Hurt, who I met at Strategy and So, and said we had to connect. And
he's going to stop America.
He was introducing me to a lot of folks, and now we're on this panel, right? You know, I'll start with this. I'm an organizer. And many of you guys are organizers and activists, and if you know any organizers, we always ask you to do something. So we're going to ask you to do something, and I'll get straight to the point. Is one thing we want you to do is to come by our booth and buy this book, Playbook for Progressives, 16 Qualities of the Successful Organizer.
I need y'all to do this for my books.
With everything I'm talking about, this is sort of the frame of our organizing model of everything that we use that is rooted in Pan-Africanism, anti-imperialism, pro-communism, pro-socialism, anti-patriarchy,
pro-LGBT,
and building a base to take on the system, right?
And it's a white man's book.
And even this quote here, I'll read this quote here on the front. An art of war for organizers around the world. Buy 10 copies and pass it on. And that's a quote by Mike Davis. You heard what he said. Buy 10 copies and pass it on.
Wait, did the video pause?
You know, I wanted to be on this panel, and I wanted to have this panel here at the conference because, you know, back in 1990, the Strategy Center went to the World Conference Against Racism, and there's an incident that Eric tells me about that a diplomat had a hot mic on.
1990.
He snuck and said, "What are we going to do about the United States?" And everybody in the conference heard it. And everyone knew that that was the elephant in the room. And I wanted to bring that question into this conference today to talk about what are we going to do about the United States, right? Behind all of what's going on in Africa, behind all of the underdevelopment and neocolonialism going on here in the United States, right? That is the question of the day. And so we have a...
Anyway, so, yeah. I mean, this is like what I say about the Pan-Africanists. It's like, this motherfucker's not going to do anything about the United States. Here's the book. I decided to look up Eric Mann, the white guy. Here's the book. This is the organizer that they're talking about. Eric Mann is a civil rights, anti-war, labor, and environmental organizer whose career spans more than 50 years. He has worked with so on and so forth. He's a whole white guy. The book, I think I might have had the book somewhere, but the book is like pretty much LGBT nonsense, all that kind of stuff. And then fast forward inside of that same video we were just watching, just want to skip to 109 where this other guy is going to talk about Chavez glowingly. Not to say that, and this is a thing that typical, like I said, I one time met a black woman who was married to a white guy at one point. And like, she started talking about Chavez and all that shit. And I was like, ew. And she was just like, he's such a revolutionary, such a good person. Like, just a leftist. And like I said, she was married to a white guy at one point because that's what they're about. That's what they do. This is who they are.
Working people.
The white guy like burned her bad, you know?
Which not until the emergence of Hugo Chavez Frias as a revolutionary leader on this continent really came into force, because he understood that Bolivar, Venezuela, the Gran Colombia region, the first country to defeat Spanish colonialism. Bolivar went where? He went to Haiti to ask for men and boats. And that is why Hugo Chavez, perhaps one of the most important organic intellectuals, not to mention his political organizational capacity, embraced the debt to Haiti and took on the question of Afro-descendants. In 2003, when the Trans-Africa Forum met with him in Caracas, he said, "Yo soy un mestizo. I am a mestizo of Indian and Spanish background, but my grandmother was una negra." 3 months later in New York City, I don't know if it was Democracy Now! Or National Public Radio, he says, "You see these big lips? You see this curly hair? This is Mother Africa." I sat with Fidel Castro, with several of us at his home 4 or 5 years before he died, and I asked him about the question of race, and his only response was, "You should speak to Hugo." So this question of Pan-Africanism is not just a question of looking at Africa, it is first looking at the Americas from which it emanates.
Yeah, all right, well, you gotta get it. Again, you know, this is the, and like I said, when I say Pan-Africanism, you gotta realize both of these people, both of these guys, were fans of non-African people. And sometimes when you're a Pan-Africanist, you're a fan of African people too, but you kind of notice this guy was pushing the Eric Mann, this guy is pushing the Hugo Chavez. So you can check out this documentary on this video, this interview on your own. Like I said, I actually like the Congolese guy. He's pretty cool because I met him and he's pretty cool. But yeah, this is the Pan-Africanist. This is the Chavez is black. This is the, you know, everybody go buy this white boy's book because he's been organizing for 50 years. And this is the circumstance that we find ourselves in, where we're as hyper capitalistic as ever. You know, like you gotta, like, one thing is that we don't, like, white folk need to do a reassessment of who their enemies within are, you know, as much as we do. But these are also our enemies within. They are going to shift our thinking away, and then we're going to end up like those Pan-Africanists who marry white, and you know, some of them do some good work, sure, but you know, that's our ass. But anyway, that's actually the entirety of this whole podcast. Let me see if anybody was saying anything. Real Black Gentleman says Hugo was pretty solid IMO, but I don't know his downsides. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that everybody has their own agenda. I think that you can find anybody who, like, you can find merit in anybody. You know, that's the thing about the real world, is that in the real world, it's kind of like, they were having a conversation yesterday on Shoot the Breeze where we were like, somebody was like, you can't find anybody, nobody's flawless, you know? And I think Afro Jam kind of sums it up. Chavez and Gaddafi are just not African. You know, that's it. Like, at the end of the day, if you're talking about African power and being, you know, pro-black and African and all that kind of stuff, like, one of the requirements is just to be a damn African. You know, it really comes down to, you know, if you can't distinguish between, if we can't distinguish between which we want, you know, which we want, and like what we want as a people group, as a human group, is we want African people. Like that's the main thing. If we can live in Africa and we have, you know, food, clothing, shelter, consciousness, everything done well for us, and it's only around white people, then we failed. Like we failed. And until we see that as a failure, right? Because a lot of people are not going to see it as a failure. They're going to say, hey, look, I can eat. I got my food. I got my clothing. I got my shelter. I got the technology. I got this. I got that. I got everything. But the Chinese are running it. Or the Americans are running it. Or the Irish are running it. And some of us are like, that's cool. But like that's it. That's really it. That's like really it. Like at the core of it, Brother Bakari is pointing out, Castro was white, Gaddafi was Arab, Chavez was white. That's it. Like I tell you, one of the fundamental core tenets of my organization back in the day, African Blood Siblings, was, you know, the problem with Europeans is the Europeans, or the problem with Eurasians is the Eurasians. Like that's it. That's like really realistically the problem. You know, it's like if you see a woman, you know, it's like there was this video. I didn't put it on this thing today, but there was this woman who was free forming, and at some point she says, you know, only white boys are looking at me, and I ain't mad at that, right? And so I'm just like, ugh, yuck, whatever, right? But like I said, look, you know, when I'm free forming, like white women can compliment me, COMPLIMENT, but they can't compliment me, COMPLEMENT. You know what I mean? Like if you meet a woman who checks all the boxes except for the big one, which is she ain't black, then you're a damn fool if you go for her. And that's how it is in the political realm. I mean, obviously, you can benefit from foreigners or from non-Africans in like trade relations or in, you know, war efforts and so on and so forth, and they will come through with that in a lot of ways. They, you know, you can find white people who will aid you militarily. You can find white people who will aid you economically. You can find that, but you know, the question becomes, at the end of the day, if you're trying to establish a nation, you have to establish a nation among your own people, because if you do not, if you don't do that, right, essentially they will have a nation over you. And that's kind of what happened in Haiti. So the real lesson in Haiti, you guys check out the Book of Power for this, okay? But the real lesson in Haiti is that after the revolution, right, 2/3, all right, so 9/10 of the Haitian population were Africans, right? 1/10 was probably mulatto or white, okay? But at the end of the Haitian Revolution, although Dessalines became the emperor, 2/3 of the governing bodies, which is probably like 10 people, 12 people, you know, whatever, right? 20 people, but 2/3 of them were mixed race, okay? And because you put 2/3 of the elite as another group, they sold the country out to France. They killed Dessalines. They broke the Constitution. They broke their oaths. You know what I mean? And the thing is that those 15 people, let's say, could have been very, very qualified, but they were the wrong racial group, and it cost Haiti all these years. You understand? Because if you understood what Dessalines did, Dessalines was ready for the French to try to attack them again. Dessalines invited it. The whole idea of the irritated genie was Dessalines threatening and saying, and I wrote this inside the Book of Power, so like I have his threat where he says, look, the French can come, but we have an irritated genie. We have like we will use the ocean in a sense. Now, they're not really going to use the ocean, but he explains his battle tactic. He says, we're going to go into the mountains, and if you guys attack us again, we will starve you and beat you again. And what happened was that when the French came back after Dessalines was killed by the mulattoes, they understood that the mulattoes were not going to fight them. And instead, the mulattoes signed away and said, yeah, we'll pay you. We'll compensate you for the loss that you had. And Haiti was paying it up until recently. You know, we have to understand that when it comes to other groups, when it comes to other human groups, right, that you can't bullshit. You have to say, look, it doesn't matter how good I may think you are, you know, because Pétion was fighting the war just like Christophe was. Pétion signed the Constitution just like Christophe did. Okay, but at some point you have to put it in place that, hey, you know what, Christophe is in charge because we are a majority black nation. That's what it is. Pétion fought just like anybody else, but you have to, at some point, put that aside and say, look, we're going to be a majority African nation. We are going to be a black nation. We're not going to be under the mercy of another people group, because when you put under the mercy of another people group, they assassinate your leader and then they take it over. And then now you're sitting down with a ruined situation because we just overlook that fundamental and important characteristic of every people group. Our race. Real Black Gentleman says that true Hugo Chavez is no Robert Mugabe. Mugabe was that ninja. Yeah, but like, that's it. Anyway, thank you so much, fam, for joining me today. I know I've been a little long-winded, but I appreciate it. You know, I did some new stuff, some old stuff, but hopefully you guys took something from this. I definitely do encourage you guys to check out the other podcasts on the network. Learning Curve did an excellent reading of Chekonte Joseph's book, and I think she's going to read some more of it tomorrow. Tanzan, she doesn't have her own channel yet, but she's on Swahili Nation, so check out Swahili Nation. Forecast and Brother Bakari, great brothers. You know, I really respect both of them. Brother Bakari is an elder in America, which is like something you guys really should like check out and tune into, because you know, like you have to appreciate when people have a legacy of change and doing things. Of course, don't forget Brother Harsh Reality at the Harsh Reality podcast. They come back in August. And of course, Bitter Medicine is doing the Shoot the Breeze, and it's a really nice happening, nice circumstance. You'll laugh and you'll get a lot of information, a lot of good stuff coming through. Shout out to Mr. Untouchable for providing a lot of the prompts. But other than that, yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Appreciate it. Nobody accused me of trying to murder anybody, which is interesting, and even though I admitted to it. But other than that, thank you so much. Shemim Hotep, Anku Ja Seneb Neb, Amen, Ma'at, Dua Netcher.